Poof. Greetings, Mother Scratchers. I don't know why that was a weird greeting. I apologize. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. We're back with the Pure Warrior this time around. As you can see from the loading screen here, we're level 50, so we have all the perks we are going to get for the rest of the playthrough. I'll walk you through some of the perks. There's only 2 left I have to grab, but I have to get my blocking skill up. So definitely making progress with this character for sure. But I think we're going to start this off with a little bit of a role play. We're here in Iverstead right now, and as you can see, Fortius is alone. It was time for Fortius to see what this whole dragon nonsense is about. He was summoned to the peak of the Throat of the World, to High Hrothgar. And then after that, he's got some, Civil War stuff to take care of, and then the Companions quest line and things like that. From here on out, everything is a deeply personal quest that is going to be character defining for Fortius. And Gore recognized that, and he knew it was time to sort of bow out and let Fortius have his own way and stop guiding him. In the ways of martial skill, he has decided that Fortius is his equal, and as a teacher of, any sort of quality, he's going to know when to stop feeding, stop filling Fortius's cup, and just let him start, exerting his influence on the world, making his own mark, So, we have the 7,000 steps to climb up. There are going to be a couple pit stops on the way, but I thought this would be a good time to sort of be self-reflective about the character, where he is now, where he's going, where he's been, things like that. Alright, so let's get hiking. Now, as soon as we cross this bridge over here, there's going to be a cave over on the right, and there's a unique shield over there that I want. There's also a bear guarding the entrance, and it's very close to town, so I think that Fortius would like to take care of that. Somebody's beeping me. Oh, it's an unknown number just texting me out of nowhere saying, "Can I offer you a job?" That doesn't sound shady at all. Well, I mistimed that again. So there are some things that I need to get used to gameplay wise, and switching back and forth every week between well, that's a great way to start. That's a great way to start the game there, huh? Or a great way to start the stream. Just getting completely demolished by this bear. I don't even think I took any damage from that. Yeah, I still have full health. I don't know what's going on. Guy just came and tried to throw me into the river, but you know what? We got a orcish force arrow off on him too. And that's one thing that we've done off camera, is we have gotten archery up to a point where I can start making trick arrows again. And that is good stuff. The orcish force arrows are one of those. You take 100 orcish arrows, you add a couple of orcish ingots to them at the forge, and then you have these concussive force, sort of explosive arrows that just fling enemies all over the place. And they're great for crowd control. They're great for approaching enemies, stopping them in their tracks. It's good stuff. So I want to show that off, and there are a couple more arrows that I have in my bag of tricks, doing the whole Hawkeye thing here. But mainly I am still working on block, because I do have 2 skills, 2 perks that I want to take. The 2 perks that I have left to take are both in the block tree. And one of them is a power block bash. Don't need enchanting anymore. Or don't need smithing anymore. There was that unique shield. One of them is that a power block bash will cause a knockdown or will throw an enemy. The other one is the perk where you sprint with your shield up and it like knocks everybody around you down like a bowling ball hitting bowling pins. That's one of my favorite perks in the vanilla game, and so of course I'm going to take it for my pure warrior here too. And of course we still have Massacre, Voice of Rage and Ruin, and Enter the Arena running on two-handed. And I kind of want to combine all these. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Book of Five Rings. I think it was by the swordsman Musashi, if I remember correctly. And it's a book that people in head-to-head sports or anything really competitive, they'll read. It can be interpreted in many ways and used in many different things, like business leaders and stuff will use it as well, professional video game players. And the 5 rings represent the 5 different ranges that, as a fighter, you want to keep your enemy at, and the different tactics that you want to employ as your enemy enters each one of these 5 ring ranges. So there's only like 3 phases to the combat with the warrior here in Skyrim, so I kind of want to call this combination the 3 rings strategy. So outside of the sort of mid-range, we want to be using the bow and arrow. Hey James, and hello Gavin Gaines as well. Welcome in, friends. Hope you're having a good start to your weekend. And Strudel, look at that. She does show up for once. I know you've been going through it over there with the wildfires and the smoke and getting the new car and all that. I've been paying attention. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're slowing down a little bit. Yeah, so the 3 ring strategy here. At the long range, we're going to be using the bow and arrow, and then as the enemy approaches, we'll be switching to two-handed, which has a little bit more range. So we're going to be starting with the bow and arrow here. We have trick arrows from the smithing tree, or not the smithing tree, the archery tree, which can do all kinds of stuff. We have the enchanted arrows from the AE version of the game, which are nice. A lot of overlap between this and the trick arrows from Ordinator, but the trick arrows from Ordinator are more powerful and they offer some more utility than the stuff that you get from the AE edition of the game. And you can also buy the AE edition ones from vendors. They'll show up in leveled lists and stuff, so I like to save the crafting materials for the Ordinator trick arrows, and then I'll just buy the enchanted arrows from certain vendors. So anyway, that's the 3rd ring. The 2nd ring will be the two-handed. As the enemy approaches, they're not really in point blank range yet. I can kind of use my footwork a little bit. You can still do the block bash with this to try to get a stagger. This sword has a paralysis enchantment on it, and with Summer Mist, it explicitly says it's a 25% chance to paralyze the enemy. And then as we are able to crowd control the enemy, we get a paralysis stack out of that. We close in to the 1st ring, or the 3rd ring, depending on how you're looking at it, which is the point blank one with the shield and the one-handed. Yeah, I'm slowing down a bit. You hit the wall. Good. Gotta rest at some point. Dude Man 683, welcome. The wall with your face or with the car? You know, tired of. Look at me, you might think face. Well played. GB 3rd place, most medals in the Olympic. 68. Okay, so you guys got the 68, the 3rd total count. Awesome. Caladran, welcome. I feel like I haven't seen Caladran in a while either. Hope you all are doing well, having a good weekend. Okay. So we are going up the 7,000 steps alone because Gore thought that this was a very personal journey, and this is going to be the start of something that defines Fortius as a character. So Gore, his mentor, decided to let him be for this journey, something he's got to do on his own. Well, maybe we only need one ring after all, huh? I actually don't want to. I don't want to use up all my damn. I had steel arrows in my favorites menu. This is another thing I got to do. I got to set up all my hotkeys and stuff. So yeah, this journey, Gore was intuitive enough to know that this is going to be something that defines Fortius's impact on the world. So, like any good teacher, Gore knows when to shut up and stop teaching and let the student become his own master, right? So, I think this is going to be a good time, both in terms of roleplay and in terms of this video series, to reflect on all the happenings that got Fortius to this spot, right? And we got a whole bunch of crap here that we don't need anymore. So one of the big drawbacks of not having Gore around is that, okay, we don't have a buddy to help fight our battles for us, but now we also don't have anybody to carry all our crap for us either. Goat horns I need. We'll get rid of all the animal bones. There was that superb bone in here somewhere too that probably it's taken a chunk of our encumbrance. Yeah, I don't know what else. So, yeah, Mr. B's not feeling great. He's getting the gunk that's going around. I was sick a couple weeks ago too, and then a bunch of coworkers got sick, and then a bunch of people I know got COVID. So the thing that was going around was probably COVID. Again, thing just won't go away. Yeah. And then a bunch of YouTubers that I watch for like Diablo 4 builds and stuff like that. There was a bunch of hosted events that Blizzard put on for that game, and like those guys all got sick too when they got home. Yeah, we're going through it again. Sorry if your grammar sucks. Oh, your grammar's great. Never have a problem with your English, Caladran. All right. So the beginning of the story here. Fortius is the son of a prominent general in the Imperial Legion. His dad's name is Aulus, A-U-L-U-S, and he was one of, did I say general? He's not a general. He was one of the most trusted lieutenants under General Jonah. And he was actually key in coming up with the strategy, the sort of bait and ambush strategy that they used to end the Great War inside the White Gold Concordat that ended that. So he comes from pretty legit military stock, from a great military mind who also knew his way around a sword, so he would teach Fortius that at a young age, right? Sadly, Fortius's mother died when he was really young, just enough to be able to remember her a little bit and how much she was beloved by both him and his father and everybody else. So that left Fortius and his father alone with a whole bunch of feelings that they didn't know how to express. Being a couple of, you know, strong, fighty guys that maybe aren't as in touch with their emotions as they should be. And now their touchstone, their emotional touchstone to the rest of the world has disappeared, right? She died not under mysterious circumstances, really, but there was some kind of sickness that none of the doctors could figure out, and it was a very sad thing. So instead of dealing with their emotions head on, they decided to throw themselves into Fortius's training and his sort of place in the world going forward, and they sort of constructed what is this great piece of hope for the Imperial Legion, the Captain America, sort of, without the super soldier serum. Just infused with all like the best ideals of the Legion, probably has a blind eye toward the bad sides of it or whatever. So yeah, instead of dealing with their feelings head on, they just focused on his training, both in terms of martial skills. So he learned his way around all the different weapons that the Imperial Legion will employ. Ranged work with the bow and the crossbow, two-handed works with pikes and great swords. Sorry, I'm really trying to level my block skill here. That kind of takes you out of the roleplay aspect of all this stuff, I know. We don't really have room for any more crafting materials here. So that was his life, and you know what? It wasn't bad, right? This is something that he and his father could bond over, and they had a great relationship because of it, right? But he never really got a chance to process his grief. All of his sadness and like his anger at the universe for taking his beloved mother from him at such a young age was channeled into his physical training. But they also went over the smart stuff too, the tactics. Aulus's thought process and coming up with the strategy that would ultimately defeat the elves in the Battle of the Red Ring, or at least fight them to a standstill. So he's got a good mind for strategy and tactics as well. And just he got taught a lot of history about the Imperial Legion and things too. The importance of strong central leadership in the impact that Talos and Tiber Septim had on the world, and how he brought peace for so long, and how the end game for war should always be peace. It should never be to continue the machine of war for personal gain or glory or anything like that. War is never about you, it's always about everybody else, right? And always looking for the means to an end. So for that, he's got like a strong sense of justice and what's right and wrong, and an appreciation for war that goes beyond just the fighting. So that kind of is the background, his fundamental driving forces of what is pointing him in certain directions here in Skyrim. So the one thing that he missed there was kind of the nuances of war, right? He was kind of raised as this tool for the Empire, and Aulus really regretted that. And as he died, as an old man, he lived a hard life, the life of a soldier, and then the life of a general, which was very stressful after that. So nothing too mysterious or tragic there. The one thing Aulus regretted not teaching Fortius here was his sort of touchstone on the other sides of the war, right? So his dying wish was for Fortius to come to Skyrim and find himself, and he set up Gore, who was Fortius's biggest idol growing up. Fortius used to watch Gore in the arena and be just awestruck at the things that he would do in there. So Aulus set up Gore to be the mentor of Fortius, to help him out to teach him some life lessons, some things that he missed as far as just life in a province goes. And if your cup is already full in a place like Cyrodiil, Fortius thinks he already knows everything about Cyrodiil. Being plopped into an environment that he knows nothing about, like Skyrim, especially a harsh place where you need to learn this place quickly, otherwise you're not going to make it. That's going to kind of empty his cup out, put him into more of a learning, absorbent mode. And he's going to get to know the people, he's going to get to know the culture, and until he joins the Legion to kind of reunite Skyrim, he's going to start to learn what makes the Stormcloaks tick, right? And as he does this, he's making a name for himself on his own and not through the Legion. And that is going to increase his sway with the people of Skyrim when it comes to reunification as well. He's going to already have had his name established as a great fighter, as a just warrior, and as a good person. And maybe even a little bit of a hero. So that when the time comes to get the Jarls and the citizens back under the banner of the Dragon, or the Legion, they might be a little more receptive if those requests are coming from Fortius, from a hero, instead of, you know, the Emperor or General Tullius or Elisif or anybody else who's trying to dictate this stuff to him that might not have the same touchstone to the normal everyday citizens that Fortius might at this point. We catch up on chat. That was a lot, huh? Hey, Panicked Monk is here. Haster's here. Look at all this. Haster on promotional duty. I love it. Thanks for the links there, buddy. Yes, but the dragon is dying. We're hoping that Fortius is going to bring the dragon back to life a little bit. I know that's kind of outside of canon. There's this great prophecy that is in the works of being fulfilled as each one of these great towers falls. But for the purposes of telling a character-specific story, a very character-centric story, we're making some stuff up, and that just kind of fits. Okay, so let's exercise this 3 rings strategy here. So we have the 3rd ring, which is the ranged stuff. We have the 2nd ring, which is the 2-handed stuff. And poor Mr. Frostroll didn't survive to see the 1st ring, which is the 1-handed. Musashi's Book of 5 Rings, except there's only 3 rings in our book. But this is where I'm getting the inspiration for the 3 rings strategy here, in case anybody missed the beginning. That is something that I'm going to work on, but right now my priority is to get block leveled up, so I'm switching back over to one-handed. We're going to be doing a lot of sword and board, or axe and magical barrier shield, I guess, until we get block up to level 90 anyway, so I can take the shield charge perk and complete the build as far as the perks go. So yeah, we're level 50. I have the plan for all the perks that I want, and as soon as we get to High Hrothgar, I'll talk you through everything and the different equipment that I got going and things like that. Bitterish. I've been there. How's that vampire coming along? Oh, yeah. Okay, so that covers the where did Fortius come from? Why is he in Skyrim? So from Gore, he learned a lot of very off-color things. So from Owlus, he learned like this. He got this very formal sort of book-like training for how to fight, different tactics that were used and employed and everything like that. From Gore, Gore's a little bit of a loose cannon, right? He learned more improvisational, real-world lessons, both in terms of fighting outside of the formal quote-unquote right way of doing things. He learned that there's a lot of value in techniques that don't adhere to the book, especially against other seasoned warriors and more cerebral fighters as well. Against, you know, wild, untrained fighters like most of the bandits here who have some strength on their own, but really kind of lack that polished technique and everything, the book can be very valuable against those. It allows him to kind of turn his brain off, go through a flow chart of, okay, we're going to do this against this technique. If this guy comes and swings a big overhand shot over here, I can box step to the left and get a free shot at his back. That's what the book says, right? Gore is more about, you know, as the enemy approaches, you know, you can kind of fake a trip by crossing your legs, which is, you know, if you're trying to sidestep, if you're trying to strafe to the left or right, crossing your legs is a big no-no in a one-on-one fight. But if you sometimes you can do that on purpose to feign. Ooh, there's some really good stuff in here that I do not have encumbrance for. I'll come back for this. I got to remember that that's here. Damn, but Daedric Battle Axe? What is of hooks? Man, that's really good. Damn. Here I am getting distracted by new shinies. Man, and I just don't have anything. Probably just a lot of... yeah, a lot of alchemical ingredients. I'll come back for this. I'm going to do a quick save here just so I don't lose all that. That's a really good enchantment on a really good piece. Yeah, so doing the sort of outside of the box things, trying to feign weakness to get the enemy to attack your strengths is a lot of what Gore taught him, but also just like little life lessons here and there. But, you know, how to make a good Hrothgar stew and how to enjoy the simple things in life, like a good Hrothgar stew. And just being able to laugh at stupid situations, laugh things off and not take things so seriously all the time can go a long way in both in terms of training and dealing with the stressors of everyday life. Or not just everyday life, maybe exceptional life, like the life that Fortius has led and is about to lead in the future. So these are all the things that are going through Fortius's mind on these 7,000 steps on his journey up to High Hrothgar, where his life will take a sudden 90-degree turn. It's something that he did not ever expect, but something that is going to shape Fortius and Skyrim and history, the world going forward, for the foreseeable future. Oh, another frozen corpse with probably all kinds of really good stuff in it. Another enchanted Daedric item. Archery, I have an archery enchantment already. Dang. Okay, so once we get in there, man, I kind of feel good about all the roleplay that just happened there on those 7,000 steps. I might have to do like a video or something about that. This is a plan that I came up with a couple days ago of how to do a stream to kind of catch people up with Fortius as a character, and I was just getting ready to start the main quest line, and here I am at the bottom of the 7,000 steps at Iverstead, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the opportunity, do a slow walk up the 7,000 steps, and I think that Fortius would be very introspective here. This would be the perfect time to do it. And I didn't know if it was going to pan out in a live stream, but, you know, from my very limited scope of perception, I feel like it went pretty well. Time for a horse card? Yeah. 7,000 steps of contemplation. Indeed, indeed. 50 something, actually exactly 50 right now. And this is going to be all of the perks I'm ever going to use. And I don't want to use my level up right now, but there are 2 perks that I'm waiting to spend because my block level is not high enough yet. I'm trying to get that block sprint perk where you can mow people down. I feel like that will be a great tool for crowd control and closing distances between Fortius and ranged enemies, mages and archers, because we're wielding Spellbreaker. So we'll be able to sprint with a powerful ward ahead of us and just mow people down, knock people to the ground. Answering your summons.
We will see if you truly have the gift.
And once we get kind of through this dialogue here, I'll walk you through the equipment that I have. I kind of don't want to waste this level up in case we hit some snags and we need that refresh. But I don't think it'll be a big deal after all. I can show you my perk tree.
Dragonborn.
Excuse me, I got a little bit of a sniffle today.
I am Master Angir. I speak for the Greybeards. Now, tell me, Dragonborn, why have you come here?
Oh. Who are you and what is this place? I don't come from Skyrim.
Greybeards, followers of the Way of the Voice. You stand in high Hrothgar on the slopes of Kinarith's sacred mountain. Here we commune with the voice of the sky and strive to achieve balance between our inner and outer selves.
Sounds like a whole bunch of self-serious mumbo-jumbo to Fortius, but you know what? There is some power with this Thuum stuff. And the way that he was able to call Fortius from the top of this mountain here, all the way over from Bone Strewn Crest, south of, well, in the swamps of Eastmarch, or not the swamps, but I guess the sulfur fields of Eastmarch, was very impressive. So there is some power here. We're gonna take him seriously, but you know, after spending months and months with Gore, who was very not self-serious, he's kind of rolling his eyes internally a little bit at this woo-woo stuff.
Do you have the discipline and temperament to follow the path laid out for you? That remains to be seen. Without training,
countertops on Wednesday, huh? Nice.
Steps towards projecting your voice.
End of next week, we'll have a functioning kitchen again. Excellent.
Now let us see if you are willing and able to learn. When you shout, you speak.
Yeah, being without we had our bathroom renovated a couple years ago, and you know, both having people like strangers you don't know working in your bathroom like all day, and not having access to. Well, luckily, we had 2 bathrooms, so we were able to use the other one. But yeah, it makes you really appreciate just the very fundamental basics that you have in modern civil life, right? Just having access to a kitchen seems like a luxury when you get it back.
You learn a new word like a master. You truly do have the gift. But learning a word of power is only the first step. You must unlock its meaning through constant.
Our current illusion alteration heavy armor greatsword character is about halfway to 48th and still runs away from dragons. He'll happily wade into bandits and even mages, but friggin' dragons. Dragons do present a very unique challenge in this game, and as you get up in level, and you start taking on dragons, it's like you make that decision of, okay, now I'm going to start fighting dragons, which you can't do in this game, right? You can postpone fighting dragons depending on the mods and stuff you have running, the alternate starts and stuff. If you're playing on high difficulty levels and you're doing like challenge runs and stuff like that, being ready for that point, turning that dragon switch on, is kind of a big deal. because they're the only enemy that flies, and they just will pelt you with elemental damage on levels that you don't even see from mages at that point. So yeah, dragons are a problem to solve with every character in this game. Some do it better than others. Two-handed, it's tough if you're focusing on two-handed, because you have really no way of blocking those frost and flame attacks. If you're one-handed, you get to use Spellbreaker if you can get that early enough. If you're a mage, you can use if you're a resto mage, you can use a ward to block it. Otherwise, you kind of just gotta hope for the best, right? You probably have to have some kind of ranged a high-level ranged follower that can shoot at the dragon while he's in the sky to try to ground him. Otherwise, you just gotta kind of just dodge flame attacks or use like terrain and trees and stuff until the dragon lands, and then when he does, you gotta get in there and do as much damage as possible. Now, that being said, the free fishing creation that you get, as you don't even need to upgrade the Skyrim EXE. I'm still running 1.5.97, and I downloaded the fishing stuff and packaged it up as its own separate mod, and then installed that on 1.597, and it works fine. That comes with a lot of rings in it. One of it is, I think it's called like the Ring of the Warlock or something like that. And it adds a ward effect when you block. So when you block with any weapon or shield, it'll bring up a ward for you. It's a pretty low level ward, but at least that'll block something for you. It might be worth looking into if you're running that fishing creation. And other than that, you know, just enchanting resistances onto your gear. And the Atronach Stone. You're not running Imperious. Alright, what are we doing here? We gotta go outside. We're gonna learn the Whirlwind Shout. Whirlwind Sprint. Got a new kitten this week, huh? Did you already have dogs, or did you just have the one dog? It's always interesting to see how they'll get along. Most of the time, they're fine.
We will now see how you learn a completely new.
I read somewhere about like one of the most remarkable things about humans is how they can get like natural enemies, animals like predators and prey to get along together in the same environment. It is pretty remarkable how you can take like a dog that came from wolves and like rabbits who, you know, would get eaten by wolves in the wild and turning them into best friends. All the terrible things that humans do, that's kind of heartwarming.
Master Hrothgar will demonstrate whirlwind sprint.
The dogs are warming up. Well, one of them. The other is afraid of her own shadow. I see. Yeah, one of those dogs.
Master Bori. X.
Ha! Heard him.
Stand next to me. Master Bori will open the gate.
Told you I'm a quick learner.
Whirlwind sprint to pass through before it closes.
Whoa. Hope he's standing on the tracks when the train's coming through, Hrothgar.
Your quick mastery of a new theme.
Your boy Nobody. Welcome, buddy.
Astonishing. I'd heard the stories of the abilities.
Currently playing Redguard Warrior build, though I am using a bit of magic for buffs and no two-handed. Gotcha. I don't know how I do it. It just happens.
You were given this gift by the gods for a reason. It is up to you to determine how best to use it. You are now
more
ready
fate, huh?
For your last trial.
Here I'm the fated savior of the Empire, and now also
from his tomb
fated for something else, it seems.
Remain true to the way of the voice.
Oh, new kitten pics? I like cute cat pictures. Who doesn't? I would say I'm more of a dog person, but I love cats too.
Wind guide.
Let's see here. So horny Jurgen Windcaller, I think Couch Warrior called him one time. Okay, 7 p.m. Maybe we'll chill out here for the rest of the night, and then we'll fudge our way back down to Iverstead. No, we can't stay here tonight, can we? We're gonna have to do the trek back down. Well, we already did the trek up. Let's just go ahead and fast travel back down to Iverstead. We'll shack up here for the night. Ah, but foxes came from wolves, your boy nobody.
You're the one they call Dragonborn.
Yeah.
You cannot escape the truth. You cannot escape the true Dragonborn. When Lord Mirak...
Hey, the hell did my axe go?
As all shall bear witness, none will stand to oppose him. Time to die. You won't win.
Hit that block. Level up. There we go.
We shall clear the way for the coming of the true Dragonborn.
Easy now. Don't lose your head. That was stupid. That was too easy. Come on. I'm better than that. Come on, Karn. I am not going to read the cultist orders. I will be accosted by cultists. So if you read that letter, you'll be accosted by cultists until you go to Solstheim and do that whole thing, right? If you keep it in your inventory and don't read it, the cultists will leave you alone until you do read it. So I really don't want to trigger the whole Dragonborn stuff until I'm done with the main quest and maybe the Civil War and everything. So I'm going to keep that letter in my inventory and not read it, and it just won't be a concern. Pro tip for you.
Welcome to the Villamere Inn. If there's anything I can get you, just let me know.
Let's see. I am 7. What is causing all of this encumbrance here? Okay, well, now's a good time to go through the equipment that I got, right? Okay, so still running the Galder amulet. This is 10% more effective and 10% faster progression with every single skill in the game, including the warrior stuff. So that's 10% better two-handed, one-handed, block, heavy armor, smithing, all the good stuff. This is really too strong. This is very strong for a lot of characters, especially while you're leveling. You're trying to hit that 100 cap on each one of your levels. This is going to buff you up, and it's going to get you there faster. This is from Zim's Immersive Artifacts. This is not the vanilla enchantment, obviously. Vanilla enchantment is a little more lackluster. And then I have a bunch of arrows here from the Trick Arrows perk in the Archery tree from Ordinator. Let's see. Corkboard Bulb Roots comes from the Rare Curios in the AE upgrade. There's a Rare Curios mod that comes with that adds a bunch of new ingredients to your to the Khajiit caravans. Cork Bulb Roots are one of those, and you can make cork bulb arrows with the cork bulb root that has a paralysis effect to it. So cork bulb arrows, you can make them at an anvil and they will paralyze. Not as good as a paralysis potion, even if you're not using alchemy. If you level alchemy to 100, don't put any perks into it, the paralysis poisons will they'll be much better than the cork bulb roots or the cork bulb arrows anyway. So Another pro tip for you there, that they're not really worth it. I would rather use the cork bulb roots for their paralysis properties in a paralysis poison than make arrows out of them. That's why I only have 6 of them. Dwarven trick arrows do immolation. It's actually quite a large explosion. 50 points of fire damage, not huge, but it does burn enemies 10 points per second for 30 seconds. That's 300 more points of damage. So if you hit them directly with this explosion at all, you're going to get a good 350 points of damage over the course of 10 seconds, which is great. Much more powerful than the regular fire arrow here, which doesn't actually have its magnitude, but the damage of the arrow itself is far less than the dwarven one, almost by half. And the I don't remember exactly what the damage value for the fire attack on this is, but it's not as good as this. Now you can buff this up with a fortified destruction potions. That does affect these values. Yeah, just if you need a little more oomph out of it, you can get that. Ebony death arrows. These ones are awesome. These take 100 for every 25. A batch of 25 of these takes 100 ebony arrows and a human heart. And human hearts are rare in this game, but the effect you get is worth it, right? Deals 100 magic damage in an area and then disintegrates targets with 350 or less health. So 350 is a really good leeway there, a really good buffer. So you kind of want to use this at the end of a volley of other kinds of arrows to kind of whittle down a high-level enemy's health. And then once they hit that 350 mark, hit them with a death arrow and they're dead instantly. So these are good. To say the least. And then for the elven trick arrows, we get grounding, which is just like the fire one, but with shock. It doesn't do the damage over time that the fire does, but what you get in place of that is it silences mage enemies, so they can't cast spells for another 10 seconds. And that's a long time for a mage not to be able to cast a spell. That's a free get into jail quickly card for you. For lack of a better term there, I guess. Glass arrow, this one is the maze. This is one of the more interesting ones. So this one needs 100 glass arrows and a soul trap scroll, which when you're actually looking for them, they're hard to find. But you can find them at court wizards and other mage vendors. You just gotta keep on the lookout for them because they are rare. Buy them when you see them. They're not expensive. Excuse me. But this is a good crowd control one. It just takes whoever you hit, renders them motionless, but invulnerable for 15 seconds. This can be actually used defensively as well if you have a follower that you're trying to save from being insta-killed by like a boss or a dragon or something like that. But mostly you're going to use this offensively as a way to take like a boss enemy out of the fight while you try to kill his minions or whatever. Can be useful, more of a utility thing than any kind of just a big boom kind of thing. And then I've been demonstrating this one. It's the Orcish Force arrows, where it just does a big concussive boom, and it launches everybody in a 10-foot radius into the air. Very good for crowd control, very good for approaching enemies to take them out of the fight for a little while and make them defenseless while you run in and start chopping them up with your sharp things, right? Okay, and then for armor. On the body, I'm using the Ebony Spell Knight armor, fully upgraded with everything I could throw at it as far as fully leveled smithing skill and all the perks that go along with that, upgraded crafting stations and all that good stuff. So I'm trying to use built-in enchantments as much as possible because Fortius is not an enchantment expert. I am leveling enchantment to 100, but even that without any kind of perk support, we're going to get weaker enchantments, self-enchanted stuff than we are going to find out in the wild. So this comes from the alternate armor, or not alternate, this is the Spell Knight armor, which is a great set from, this is a creation, you get it with the AE, the full AE upgrade. That goes on sale for super cheap all the time, but it's a great looking piece, great looking set. And this one actually grants us 25% more armor. Now, our armor rating is way over the cap at 1,000. The armor cap, I think, is like 659, if I remember correctly, if you're wielding a shield. But I have a perk that takes 0.02% of your armor rating and adds it to magic resistance. So I'm getting like a good 20% magic resistance on top of all the other magic resistance stuff that I have. Just by beefing up this armor rating as far as possible outside of the armor rating cap. So at the armor rating cap, you will get 80% physical damage reduction, which is great. But yeah, you typically don't want to over spec your armor rating past that. But with that perk, let's just go ahead and head into perks now. It's a perk in Ordinator in the heavy armor skill tree, and Joel, my boss's name at work is Joel, so whenever I say Joe, my mouth just automatically wants to say Joel. Out of the Inferno, this might help you with your heavy armor guy. So incoming fire, frost, and shock damage is reduced by 0.02% per point of armor if wearing all heavy armor. So deck yourself out with all heavy armor, and you should be getting the I don't know if that shows up in active effects. I was trying to look for it, but that should give you a good boost to your fire and frost resistance for fighting dragons. So it's out of the Inferno. Yeah, it doesn't show up in active effects. So I'm not sure that it's actually working, other than, you know, just getting a slight tickle from that cultist as they were blasting me in the back with the flame spell, or even the flame atronach. Yeah, I'm trying to find any resistances that show up for that. If it's all scripted, then it's not going to show up in active effects, but I wish it did. Okay. Yeah, so that was the body slot. And then we have Ebony Spell Knight Boots. This comes from the same set. Increases stamina by 70 points. Stamina is a big deal in Wildcat if you're playing the full Anirim overhauls, Smilodon, Wildcat. So just having more stamina in the tank will keep your damage output topped off at all times. What tree was that again? That is the heavy armor tree, and it's a pretty high level skill. It's called Out of the Inferno in heavy armor. It is a level 80, heavy armor level 80 perk. But that will help out against your dragons, if and when you get there. And also mages, which tend to be a pain in the ass at high levels with pure warrior type gameplay. Okay, so yeah, the boots, more stamina is always better for Wildcat. In Wildcat, and you can set this in the MCM menu and change it as you want, but in Wildcat, the more your stamina pool diminishes, the less damage you're going to output and the more damage you're going to take. So you want to keep that stamina topped off as much as possible. Stamina also enables the most important melee skill in the game, and that is the block bash. It's your fastest attack. It causes staggers very reliably. You can do it with empty offhand and a one hand in the right hand, two-handed, sword and board. It's extremely powerful, extremely important, but it costs stamina. So having more stamina pools is important for that. All this stuff is why I prioritize stamina at low levels over health for warrior characters, because you need that block bash, and you need to keep your defenses and offense up through your stamina levels in Wildcat. So pro tip there. Spell Knight Gauntlets. This one is kind of a throwaway. I might craft up an unenchanted pair of gauntlets and put something like one-handed or two-handed fortification or even archery or even block on this one if I'm leveling block. But this is restoration spells and enchantments cost 25% less. Great for a paladin type character, but for a pure warrior who doesn't cast restoration spells. Maybe if you have a weapon enchantment, but I'm trying to think of what weapon enchantments are restoration based, and there are a few in Summer Mist. Like there's like a disease enchantment, turn undead, damage undead, things like that. But for a pure warrior, it's not really useful. We don't really rely too much on enchantment for our damage because we're all about that physical damage, you know. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect any magicka. Yes, indeed. Ebony Death Arrow. I'd argue that in the right hands, nearly any arrow is a death arrow. Yep. Indeed. Obviously, that death arrow is not really as needed for a sneak archer, but for a combat archer, it can be very, very useful. Okay. On the helm, we get another 20% resistance to all magic, which is great. That stacks alongside, I think, multiplicatively, aside from the Out of the Inferno effect, which is its own custom effect. It's not a vanilla effect. It's not the resist all magic effect. But this also stacks additively with Agent of Mara that you get from doing the Dinya Baloo's quest line for the Church of Mara in Riften, which gives you another 15%. Magic resistance. So I'm stacking a lot of magic resistances here. Useful for mages and dragons alike. And obviously I'm also wielding Spellbreaker. So dragons and mages really don't pose much of a concern to me at this point. I can just roll with it. Although last stream I was getting just completely melted by just the damn soul gem traps, the gem traps that blast you with lightning or fire or whatever. For whatever reason, the damage on those scale really high, and they seem to bypass any of your resistances that you have. It's crazy. You like the ebony armor a lot? It's really cool, isn't it? Yeah, if you have the AE full upgrade, then you have this. It's just a matter of doing the quest line for it. I believe that there's a journal in one of the rooms in the Silverblood Inn, and it's on the opposite wing from the room that you stay in if you buy a room. You just have to explore the opposite side of the inn. You'll find a journal, and that'll kick off the quest for the Spell Knight stuff. And then I have a self-enchanted ring here. So more armor, 13% more armor. Now this percentage modifier on the armor comes from the newest version of Summer Mist. And it's like the 4.x version of it. And I switched the Fortify Armor enchantment from being just a straight armor value that stacks on top of your existing armor rating and changed that out for a percentage. This is actually a huge upgrade, especially for Out of the Inferno, that perk that I was showing Joe about the elemental resistances that scale with armor rating. Because at higher levels of armor rating, these percentages will stack up a lot higher. So at 1,000 armor rating, with a 13% of that, you're getting what, 130, an extra 130 armor, when typically you'd be getting like 13 points more armor instead of the 13% more armor, which obviously is a lot less than 130. So yeah, it's a nice change by Anai. Thank you, buddy, for that one. Now, on the surface, again, that doesn't really help you past the armor rating, which was already easy to get to, the armor rating cap. But for the purposes of Out of the Inferno, it really does help scale your elemental resistances a lot higher for a heavy armored warrior that struggles with that. Spellbreaker, I upgraded this to legendary, and now I'm doing a 166 armor rating on that, along with the upgrades to the ward that it has on it. Now it comes up a lot more quickly, and it is a lot more powerful thanks to Zin's immersive artifacts. If you're chasing these legendary artifacts, I feel like they need to be build altering, right? They should, through unique effects and everything, be at least a decision between whether you want to use this or a self-enchanted item. In the vanilla game, these Daedric artifacts, you know, bar a couple of them that have very unique effects, they're just not as good as something that you can enchant yourself with a full suite of crafting perks and things like that. But this is one of them that does hold up. I like it because it makes it so that, you know, you don't have to invest into the restoration tree for that ward, and it gives you an option for a full pure warrior to deal with heavy elemental damage, or magic non-elemental damage, which is more of a thing with Apocalypse and Triumvirate, which can be hard to deal with. The Goblet of Infinite Grace, this one is a really awesome item. It allows you to get the Shrine Blessing from the one of the 9 divines that you're worshiping. And for the purposes of this item, it is the 9 divines, not the 8. Is a great, powerful item, but I've kind of thrown my support behind Ebonarm at this point for the damage, the armor reduction on enemies when you enter a fight, which is extremely powerful for anybody who does mostly physical damage. So we're not using one of the divines. I might go back just because it's a good role-playing sort of thing for this character. It fits going with one of the divines. I just don't know. We did Stendar for a while. We did Kine. That didn't really fit. Maybe Talos would be the most fitting one, but that kind of throws all of your weight behind shouts, and I'm not sure if I want to really buy in totally to the shout thing. I want to kind of focus on the warrior aspects for the pure warrior. So Ebonarm just giving you as a devotee, follower of Ebonarm, devotee of Ebonarm, reduces the armor of enemies within 40 feet by 32 points based on the favor with Ebonarm. So as I increase favor with Ebonarm, I'm going to get more and more damage, or not damage, armor reduction from enemies within a pretty generous radius. And that's doubled against Daedra. So let's see, that covers the Winter Sun, the gear, and let's look at perks. So heavy armor. So the perks that I'm taking on this one is mostly to avoid specialization, so that as a pure warrior, I can wield any weapon that I come across, be it one-handed or two-handed. I have a lot of general defense against a lot of different enemies in the game. And then I have smithing to be able to beef everything up on a general level as well. So let's start with smithing here. I basically took all of the heavy equipment, all of the heavy material crafting perks. So I got Dwarven with the first Merrick smithing, and then, you know, steel and bone mold, and I took both in mastery for the added tempering on that. Expert smithing, I took both of these so I can do both Orcish and the Nordic plate, the steel plate and the Nordic carved stuff. 1 point in exotic, and I took the ebony and Stalrim half of this, ignored glass because we're not really doing light armor or weaponry. And then both of the planar smithing perks here, so I can create Daedric and Dragonbone. And having all of these perks and access to all of these different material types gives me access to all of the different heavy weapons and armor that I have modded for as well. The ones that allow you to craft their pieces often require one of these perks at some point, and so this covers all my bases. I can create anything I want. Heart of Creation, I'm skipping this one. I'm just not gonna have the perk points for it. Well, I guess I would have the perk points for it, but I don't know. It just didn't seem generally applicable. This would require, this is kind of like the alchemy one where you use an alchemy station and then all of your potions are buffed for a certain amount of time. This is the same thing but for smithing. You activate an anvil. You have to actually create an item that's a little different than the alchemy one with an alchemy station where all you have to do is just use the station. You don't have to actually create a potion. This one you actually have to forge an item, and then it increases your attack damage, critical strike damage by 15%, reducing attack damage taken by 15%. The 15% is nothing to sneeze at, especially at higher levels. That becomes a higher chunk. But it's not as much benefit as I was getting from other perks. Like this Sandstone Sheath. This kind of plays with the Rallying Standard one a little bit. So when you draw a weapon, it gets sharpened for 10 seconds, and this gives you an actual 25% extra damage as opposed to the 15% extra damage you're getting from Heart of Creation. So that was much more worth the perk point for me, and then recycle materials to get here. An extra perk point, but for an extra 10%, 25% versus the 15%, I think it was worth the perk point. This just gives you a 50% chance of not using up a material that you would have otherwise spent at a grindstone or a workshop tempering your items. And then Advanced Workshop, I spent this on a grindstone. What about Arcade? I used Arcade for a while. That was more undead based, I think. Not warrior per se, but could be interesting. Yeah. Maybe I should do a full 9 divines phases, 9 phases for each divine for Fortius. I think we've done, I don't know if we've done Stendar. We've done Kain, we've done Arcade. Arcade is really more paladin focused. It gets really anti-undead really quickly. Arcade is really a no-brainer for a paladin that doesn't want to associate with a Daedra in Meridia. So these things that are very like specifically colored or flavored for one kind of warrior over the other, it kind of turned me off a little bit because the Fortius is supposed to be a general like I can do it all type warrior. So yeah, heavy armor mastery, which just increases the armor rating of each piece that you put on there. Heavy armor fit, if you're wearing all heavy armor, you get another 25% on top of your armor rating. Rallying Standard, that's that flag that plops down whenever I lift my hands. That synergizes off of Warbringer, which it has a 2-minute cooldown, but every time you unsheath your weapon, it will plop down one of those Rallying Standards, which also plays off that Sandstone Sheath that sharpens your weapon whenever you unsheath. So all of this kind of enforces me to not pull out my weapons. 2 things. Not pull out my weapons until I'm about to enter combat, and then I'll get a buffed up weapons, buffed up armor, and then Rallying Standard will also give me 150 plus points of armor, 25% more melee damage, and this affects all of my allies, not just me. So this was buffing up Gore a whole bunch too when he was following me. Fortius needs to stand on his own. I need to make sure that this character works, this character concept works as a solo character and doesn't rely on followers, because on legendary difficulty, followers are very, very strong. And they're kind of a pain in the ass. So I like to have my character concepts be able to, on the build level anyway, stand alone without the whole relying on a follower type thing. I also took Defiance. So whenever an enemy attacks, you gain 15 points of armor for 15 seconds, or for 10 seconds, and this effect stacks. So if you're just getting completely dogpiled on, this is going to scale your armor up to be able to deal with that. This is attacks, which usually indicates a physical attack, so this is less useful against mages, but it is useful against a varied attack. So if you have, like, you're infiltrating not infiltrating, but attacking, like, a bandit headquarters or something, and they have, like, hedge mages or something that have joined their ranks. So if you're getting hit by arrows and you're getting hit by swords, that will increase your armor rating, which also, out of the Inferno perk, will increase your elemental resistance against those mages, which can be a pain in the butt. If wearing all heavy armor, take 30% less attack damage from power attacks. Okay, so this does not fall under the armor rating bucket. This is separate, so you get even more damage reduction on top of that armor cap. So never kneel. Whenever you can find additional damage reduction that lies outside of the armor cap, that's really good to take, because that's going to increase your damage resistance, your defenses even further than just relying on armor rating. It's a separate bucket that stacks separately. So it is a multiplicative stack and not an additive stack. The math on that gets a little complicated, but I learned all this good stuff by Diablo 4 building. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4 lately, but it is actually increasing my improving my Skyrim build game too. So don't get jealous if you want to see me only play Skyrim. It's making my Skyrim game better, I promise you. And there's Out of the Inferno. We already really talked about that. So this is all general defense, right? This isn't anything too specialized. A lot of this other stuff kind of wants you to be the tank in a situation. It wants you to be taking damage constantly. This is just kind of increasing my general defense and offense with the rallying standard here. So I'm getting a little bit more bang for my buck with each perk choice that I take. Obviously, I'm leaving strength, top end strength on the table if I'm not specializing in certain things. But as I've shown, this is actually more than viable on legendary difficulty so far at level 50. Anyway, we'll see how it scales against level 80 enemies as we go. Don't remember, where does Spellbreaker come from? That is the Periite quest. It's the Periite Daedric artifact. And it's a pretty tough dungeon dive and a pretty tough boss fight, but it's worth it for if you're a sword and board warrior or a general warrior that wields all the different weapons like mine does. Spellbreaker is like best in slot for a shield because it gives you defense against spells and dragon breath attacks where you wouldn't have it normally. All right, so block. This is the last one that I need to level up in order to get the perks that I want. And I actually just hit level 80, so that does require me to take one of the prerequisite perks that I was going to do. So block mastery, just block more damage with your shield, obviously, generally really good. And then deflect arrows. You while you have your shield up, you're going to do half damage from arrows. From any direction, whether it hits or not, and then if the arrows hit the shield, they do no damage whatsoever. They just bounce off. And then Dominion, you're going to take 25% less attack damage from any direction as long as you have your shield up. So if you get flanked, you're still taking 25% reduced attack damage, and that actually stacks with the deflect arrows perk. So you're doing half damage reduction from arrows, even if they hit you in the back, if they hit you in the side, they miss your arrow, or they miss your shield. As long as you're blocking, you're going to take half damage from arrows and then another 25% reduced damage from arrows from Dominion. Generally, with if you're getting hit by a big battle axe or something like that, that 25% is going to help. It's going to be nice, right? But you're still taking a huge chunk of damage, so you still want to mind your footwork in those big melee battles and try to keep all the melee attackers in front of you. Keep your back to like a river or a wall if at all possible. You want to keep that shield in front of you. Power bash. I don't really do a lot of power bashing. It can do a lot of damage, especially with this next perk that I've taken. This whole right side subtree, this will really turn your bashes into a legitimate offensive threat. I usually just use bashes as a way to keep my shield up, but use a quick jab to stagger the enemies, and then I'll use that stagger to open up the rest of my offense through like weapon power attacks and things like that. And Skull Rattler will give you 3% more damage per point of stamina. So as you can see, I've heavily invested into stamina with this character, even more so than health, which might be a little counterintuitive, but there is a method to my madness on that. So yeah, whatever 3% of 510 is, it's quite powerful, right? This does become a legitimate offensive threat. Just throwing out that block bash. It's not going to do anything really close to what your weapons are going to do, especially with weapon fortification enchantments that you might have and the different tempering boosts that you have on your weapons and things like that. You're going to do a lot more damage with the regular and power attacks than you are going to be doing with the block bash. But if you want to be tanky, you want to keep that shield up all the time, this is a legitimate way of making that offensive actually useful. That making the block bash useful as an offensive tool. Also for Targe of the Blooded, if you're having a build that would be a fun build, a Targe of the Blooded centric build that does that bleed damage with each bash. Good stuff. Okay, so Cast Aside. This one, interrupting an attack with a power bash with a shield knocks the attacker to the ground. Targets can be affected once every 30 seconds. So that's per target. I can go and do a power bash, and if I interrupt an attack with every one of my attackers, I'm going to knock them all down. Of course, I'm going to eat through stamina really quickly doing this. Pretty cool effect. In my experience, it's really hard because the power bash, it's not super quick. It does take a little bit of time to wind up. So timing that to purposefully interrupt an attack with it, unless it's a power attack and you have quick reflexes, which I do not. I did not spend a perk point on quick reflexes. If you have that slow time effect with your block up and they do a power attack on you, then yeah, this is absolutely a no-brainer to take this one if you're a sword and board character. But for me, it's just a prerequisite to get to Unstoppable Force. And this is that shield sprint perk that I was talking about earlier. Knocks enemies in your path to the ground. If you're sprinting with a shield raised, but costs 10 points of stamina per second, enemies can only be affected once every 10 seconds. So once we get to that last ring, and we have our sword and board out, this will give us a sort of crowd control, get off me type move. If you're cornered, you got a lot of people just pelting you with attacks. Hold your shield up, sprint through them. You're going to knock them all down like a bunch of bowling pins. And then as they struggle to get up, you can just go clean them all up. It's almost like a full Fus Rodah shout without having to spend your shout cooldown on it, right? Cast Aside is my favorite Tom Hanks movie, where he drew a smiley face on his shield, called him Wilson. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Deflect Arrows would be a great name for an Argonian. Yeah, heavy tanky Argonian. My God, I got a frog in my throat today. My goodness. It's not coming up. Here we go. Now we're good. Okay, so this is the last skill that I need to level to 90 now in order to take my last perk point, and then I'm done spending perks. Once I take Unstoppable Force, I am done with perks for this build, and I need to focus on endgame gear and kind of fleshing out things like shouts, different potion ingredients that I'll be using for Fortify One-Handed and Resist Magic, things like that. And then I can start getting a build guide out for this, which I'm excited. It looks like I'm at the point now where getting a build guide at least out for the Warrior is a reality to get that out by the end of the year, I think. I was kind of worried about it with how long it's been taking me to do these playthroughs lately. And then we also obviously have the Mage over on his separate playthrough, and then I was hoping to get started on the Thief playthrough this year too, but we'll see. One step at a time here. All right, so then for one-handed and two-handed and archery, I didn't really specialize too much in any of these weapon sub-trees. Trained fighter, just reducing the cost of power attacks with two-handed weapons. If you're going to be doing any power attacking at all with two-handed weapons, this is pretty much a requisite. I skipped all of the weapon-specific sub-trees. Now, like I said, I am leaving a lot of power on a lot of top-end power on the board for this in order to increase flexibility with being able to wield any weapon I want. If I find, like I did with that Daedric battle axe with that awesome enchantment on it, I can pick up and use that. Be it a battle axe, a great sword, I find an awesome spear from Animated Armory that I want to use, I can use it. I don't have to worry about it. The pure warrior should be a weapons expert using everything, and it's kind of that funny little I don't know, ironic idea that in order to be the master of all, you kind of have to ignore specifics on all of these. So it's like a jack of all trades versus a master of none type thing. But to be a master of all, you have to not specialize in anything. That's the other side of that coin. Ferocious strength, more power attack damage per point of stamina. You know, an IRM stamina is hugely important. Don't ignore stamina for a melee warrior. Ramming speed, this is the two-handed sprinting power attack that I'm using to enter battle. And then the good stuff. This is my favorite stuff. Massacre, 10% chance to increase attack speed by 175%. Last time I played the warrior 2 weeks ago, we were proccing this thing all the time with the ebony blade, and that guy was just going crazy. It's really fun, fun, and awesome to see this thing proc off and just go crazy with your two-handed weapon, attacking way faster than any one-handed weapon ever would. And then to support that, I got Enter the Arena, which it doesn't adhere to this 10%. Well, the 10% chance is still there for prolonged battles, but every time you enter battle, this massacre will proc on your first two-handed weapon swing. So it doesn't matter when you enter combat, but this will proc on your first two-handed weapon swing. So that second ring is extremely powerful. Most enemies are not going to survive this onslaught, this massacre onslaught. This does have a 30-second cooldown, which is a long time for a battle to last, so you're probably only going to proc this once. Well, dungeon dives typically take more than that 30 seconds, but it's enough of a consideration that you might want to manage your cooldown going into a boss fight at the end of a dungeon run or something like that, because you do want to be able to proc that. And then Voice of Rage and Ruin, this one is awesome too. So you just equip a power, not a shout, but a power. So Standing Stone powers, All Maker Stone powers, like the ones that blow up with fire and ice, or they'll give you damage reduction for the Earth Stone and things like that. Or like Imperious racial abilities, like the Orcish Blood Rage perk or a power. Just equip it, don't use it. You got to be very careful not to use it, because as soon as you use it and it goes on cooldown, you're not going to have access to it. 4% chance to activate your currently equipped power. I think this is actually a 3%. I think that the Restoration Fortification might actually be buffing this up. No, I'm wrong. 4% chance to activate your currently equipped power. So with Enter the Arena and Massacre, where you're doing like a huge amount of attacks in like per second, this is actually more likely to cast than not in a battle. With just the amount of volume of attacks you're putting out there, 4% chance is pretty good. So I have that hooked up to typically Star of the West, which is the Warrior Stone unlockable ability with Andromeda. And this will give you, this will totally restore your, all of your health and magicka, and then fortify them by the amount restored for 30 seconds. So having this randomly proc in a battle without a cooldown is really cool if you're just hacking people with your two-handed weapon, especially for like prolonged boss battles where you're in there just hacking a dragon up over and over again. You have more of a chance to proc this automatically, so you get free refill to health and stamina and fortification. Really cool stuff. Yeah, okay, so let's keep moving. That is two-handed, and of course you can see how every perk that I took is going to be effective for every single two-handed weapon that I pick up, regardless of the weapon type. Same idea with one-handed here. Less of an investment perk-wise, because usually if I enter one-handed, if I'm using a one-handed skill in combat, or a one-handed weapon in combat, it's really more about the shield and blocking than it is about the weapon. But regardless, I took the same Furious Strength here that I took in two-handed, that just scales your power attack damage with your current stamina levels. Disciplined Fighter to reduce the stamina cost of power attacks, and then Thundering Blow, which kind of gives you, if the fight goes beyond that second ring into your last ring, your one-handed defensive ring, this gives you a gameplay mechanic to kind of go for. So you're going for those 8 regular attacks, and then after those 8 regular attacks, that charges up your next power attack into a Thundering Blow that deals double damage, doesn't cost you any stamina. So as long as you're hitting those 8 regular attacks before you hit that power attack, you're not spending any stamina on power attacks, which is really good. I stopped here. There's more that you can take. Ooh, we got a subscriber, huh? Tathagata. I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to see with the with the font color choice that I picked on this backdrop. Thanks for joining. Welcome to our happy little family, as Astrid would say. So yeah, after a Thundering Blow, attack speed is increased by 75%. It's not the 175% that you get from Massacre, but still pretty good. And this will actually also feed into your next Thundering Blow. If your regular attacks are 75% faster, you're going to get to your next Thundering Blow 75% faster. So very, very nice perk. But if I'm capping myself at 50, I just don't think at this point in any battle, even against the toughest bosses, that I'm ever going to get to a second Thundering Blow. After already pelting the enemy with arrows, hitting them with my two-handed Massacre attack, and then finally switching to Sword and Board, that third phase, we're probably never going to hit one Thundering Blow unless it's a lot of really high-powered enemies, right, with a lot of health. If you are a one-handed expert, if you're a one-handed specialist like a duelist or a Sword and Board guy, you're going to be a tank, this is absolutely worth another perk investment for that. But yeah, we're not a one-handed specialist. We're using them all. Speaking of using them all, we're also doing archery. So archery mastery for just more damage output, clean kill. For the first shot, which we're usually going to be opening combat with an arrow shot. So clean kill is going to give us a 20% more damage to that target that hasn't been used yet, or that hasn't been attacked yet. Fenrir Black Wolf. Hello, buddy. Fenrir Black Wolf. Cool name. Welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen your name in chat unless you're one of the old friends that changed their name, or if you have slipped in the past and I just don't remember, I'm sorry. But welcome regardless. And then quick shot, just in case, we're fighting dragons or something, we need to be able to keep up a damage stream at range. Quick shot will just get us to that next shot faster. And the way that DPS works is kind of multiplied by your attack damage is multiplied by your attack speed. So if you're increasing your attack speed by 30%, you're doing 30% more damage over time. So that's just a good general way of increasing your damage output with archery. And then I took 2 ranks of steady hand. I'm not going to take the third one, but you do get some slow time by hitting that block key while you're drawing an arrow. For combat archery, this is very, very useful just to slow down the action a little bit, get a better shot off at will. Of course, this is also going to drain your stamina, which is also why stamina is so important with this build. And then Hunter's Discipline. I don't really care about recovering arrows, but I really care more about trick arrows. So Hunter's Discipline, we'll be able to keep our trick arrows, which is really nice if we can find those, if they're embedded in an enemy, if they didn't explode and disintegrate. But trick arrows is the one I was really trying to get to here. This is a level 80 perk for the skill, and this allows me to craft all those awesome arrows that I was showing off earlier with the gear. Holy crap, is that it? And then I'm leveling alchemy, I'm leveling enchanting. Even with a fully upgraded or leveled up alchemy, fully leveled up enchanting, I'm still not going to be able to hit the levels of, especially like fortify enchanting, fortify smithing, that I would just by buying potions from an alchemist. And I'm not going to be able to hit those enchanting levels on those effects as good as what I'm going to find out in the wild. So it's more just for filling in gaps. Like I said, with these gauntlets here that aren't doing me any good with the restoration spell enchantment reduction, I'm just going to craft an unenchanted pair of these and then put like, I don't know, archery or one-handed or something, or fortify two-handed or something on there. Probably fortify two-handed. As I said, the one-handed stuff is more about the block than it is about the weapon. Anyway. Oh, and then there's one more thing. I think James Ansel was requesting that I use the Leviathan axe. This mod is no longer available, but I did Google it, and I was able to find the modded or the archived package for this mod. It's called Leviathan Axe Dwemer Artifacts, I believe. And what this does is it gives you an axe to find out toward the chill, I think. There's an altar out there where you can pick up this axe, and then on this mountain over here where all the giants and stuff are, it actually makes you, I don't know why there's nothing on this mountain in the vanilla game. It's just a regular old mountain. It seems like a wasted opportunity to put something awesome there. But this mod actually gives you a dwarven workshop where you can work on this axe. And throughout the world, there are these crafting materials that you pick up, and they've hidden them all over the place, like this Warlock's Mark, or no, not Warlock's Mark, Warhandle Scheme, Soft Dwemerith Steel. These are all crafting materials to be able to upgrade this Leviathan axe. And I need to find more, I think it's Frozen Flame does the general upgrade. So this is Leviathan Axe +2. Once I find another Frozen Flame, I'll be able to upgrade that to Leviathan Axe +3. And you can tell how extremely powerful this already is at 252 damage, whereas my two-handed longsword is only at 211. Obviously, I'm getting other effects from the two-handed skill tree for this one that make it more powerful. But yeah, this is one of those OP modded weapons. But it's been fun going through and finding these different crafting materials here and there, and then going back to that mountain dwarven forge and upgrading these in different ways. You can also get these different grips, pommels, and axe heads and things like that or these schemes that you can create different parts of the weapon, and then you can install these different parts on the weapons for different effects. And I haven't actually been able to craft one of those up yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of effects are on there. And again, it's sad because the mod author took this one off the market, off the Nexus. He wanted to fix some issues that it was. I haven't had a single issue with it yet. I don't know what issues he's trying to fix with it. But he just never got around to it. That's been like a year and a half ago, and he hasn't put it either back up on the Nexus or fixed it or anything yet. So that's kind of sad. But a lot of people really like this one, and I think it was available on console too. Like I said, I just did a Google search of it, and it pointed me at the Nexus archive for it. So the mod author probably doesn't like that too much, but you can still find it.
All right, Wilhelm. I suppose it's the
Emperor Lorcan or Wolfie. Okay, I gotcha. You did change your name. All right, well, welcome back. I do recognize the Wolfie name. Okay, let's see. I am over encumbered. I need to get some rest. Don't know what the hell I am over encumbered with. A lot of crafting materials, I guess. Gotta take care of that. Also need to go get the horny Jurgen Windcaller.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day. Yes?
I know where the room is, thanks.
I understand.
I believe this room is over here, or am I thinking of the sleeping giant? Nope. Maybe I don't know where my room is. Well, now I do. Process of elimination. Boom. Okay, we'll go ahead and sleep for 10 hours. It was quite the trip. Up the 7,000 steps. Eating pizza right now. Holy crap, I'm jealous. Gotta do a shopping run at some point. I gotta go to Costco. Get some staples. Not actual, like, staples, but, like, you know. Regular items that you keep in your pantry staples. Okay, let's see if we can offload some junk here in this chest. Nothing in the weapons, need all that. Probably don't need the... I was keeping the cultist gloves just because, you know, it's 2 times the value to weight ratio, but it's really not worth that much. 5 pounds each for the cultist robes. Crap. I do need money for block training, though. I'm running low on septums. I was going to keep these gloves for enchanting purposes to create another set of crafting gear, either alchemy or enchanting, but just don't have the room for it. A lot of crafting materials here. I have an abundance of these back at my player home, so I don't really need any of these. The glass and the goat horn are good for a hearth fire. Don't need the torches. And we're already under encumbrance now again, but oh yeah, we do have a lot of alchemical ingredients that I don't want to lose either. We have to make a better concerted effort to be using our damn potions here too. So let's do that while I'm thinking about it. Draft of health, elixir of regeneration. We're gonna go ahead and throw those in the favorites menu. Use our poisons and stuff here too. Got a lot of crap I'm not using here. True shot, we'll throw that up there. Oh no, we have fortify archery already in the quick menu. Resist ice. Fortify one-handed, two-hand heavy armor. Resist fire, resist magic, resist shock, resist poison. I think we're good. Regenerate stamina. I have a ton of these moneymaker potions that I gotta sell off too. I should have done that off stream. Well, alright. This is gonna be more of a roleplay stream anyway, I think, so. Oh, and I gotta do my prayers to Ebonarm for that sweet, sweet armor reduction on enemies. 117.8%. Don't mind if I do. And then switch that back to Star of the West so that I can proc that randomly with the two-handed weapon. Right now I'm using the Lakeview Manor off of Lake Ilinalta. So not modded. I do have a modded player home that I like to use, Ryek's End. Mostly just a temporary thing. Provides all the crafting stations and everything in one place and gives you some safe storage right from the start of the game. It's a very convenient location, and it's built into the side of a wall off of the White River here, so it doesn't really affect the landscape too much with a gaudy player home. But I am running a couple of the AE player homes as well. So Hendraheim, which is a good one for a warrior. Mirror Watch, which is more of a mage type thing. There's Gallows Hall out here as well, sort of close to the overgrown temple out here. Cradle Cross. I haven't found it yet, but it's out there. And then there's the vampire specific one, and I don't remember which one that one was. It was the Eleonora one, where you get invited to this dinner. Turns out they're all vampires. I don't remember, but yeah, those are a few, just the ones that I actually like from the AE, not all of them. So there was another player home over here that you could buy with the AE location that does have some plantable plots in the back, and then the farm that everybody likes with all of the plantable plants out here that I didn't, that I don't have either. And that's just mostly I left those out because I didn't want to, there was grass growing through all of it, and the planting plots were really hard to see because of all the grass everywhere, and I didn't feel like going into the creation kit and removing the grass in those areas. Someday I might, but as of now, I'm good on player homes. I'm not like Strudel, who you know, half of my mod list is player homes. That's what's great about modding Skyrim, right? Is you can make the game whatever you want. If you want to just pepper your landscape with player homes. Bloodchill Manor, that's the one. Thank you, Keith. Psionic Dante, that's another name. The Streets of Whiterun is my favorite player home. There you go. Taking my name in vain again? Wow. Ooh, I didn't even have to be like gross to get the wow on that one. All right. Must be getting better at this wow thing. Okay, so let's take a carriage trip to the Lake Ilanalta carriage stop, and that will put me really close to Lakeview Manor that I can drop off these ingredients and things, and maybe drop off some of these potions, a lot of these potions that I'm not using yet. And then when we're done with that, we'll head up to, drawing a blank on what the Nordic ruin is called. The Horny Jurgen one. Ustengrav, that's the one. Wow, what time is it? 6:53 a.m., huh? Fog and the clouds are really making this feel like night during the day. That's all right. Northern territories, closer to a pole, usually have this issue in certain seasons. Either daylight all the time or nighttime all the time. Alaska problems, I guess. Okay, we should... Oh, yep. There's Lakeview. Here's our place. I'm still not done building this out. It's just very functional at the moment. I have my anvil and my crafting stations out here. I have an armory wing, which shows off all the different gear sets that I've been using on Fortius's journey. And let's see. Goat horns I can get rid of. Grand soul gems will actually put next to the enchanter. All these soul gems will save us a couple pounds anyway, or a couple of encumbrance units. I doubt they use the English or the metric system on Nirn or in Tamriel. Okay, we have an alchemy station that has some storage. We'll throw that in there too. Traveler's shield, cultist robes we can sell. Circle of alchemy, I have major alchemy inside, so I can sell that too. All right. Am I getting any growth on these? No, I just yesterday I went and harvested these and created those regeneration potions that I can sell for an arm and a leg. Did not see your message, Fenrir. Let's see. Been planning on going back to player home showcase. Oh, yeah. Focusing on Let's Plays as well. Yeah, I remember your showcases. Yeah, the YouTube game, if you don't love it, it's a lot of work for a little reward. That's why my upload. I can stream. Streaming's easy. You just click a few buttons and start playing. Being able to talk and read chat at the same time is a skill that takes some cultivation. But yeah, my upload schedule with actual produced stuff is very sporadic because it's a lot of work. Let's see. Yep, okay, we were gonna drop off our alchemical ingredients here. Freedom units, there you go. Maldaroth is here. Welcome, Maldaroth. The use of the Septimus system. There you go. Yeah, Houster with the... He's my ad guy. Okay. We'll just go ahead and throw our soul gems and stuff. In here, it's not going to save us much, but it will save us a few pounds. And I think I have some enchanting potions here. Will save us a few pounds as well. What else? Okay, yeah, there was some ingredients I wanted to drop off here next to my cooking station here too. The dragon's blood, the troll's blood. What else? Oh yeah, all the frostbite venom. Hey, there we go. Now we're making a dent. Okay, and we just need to make a better concerted effort of actually using our potions, so that will help with encumbrance too. Let's remember to do that when we go take on Ustengrav. Speaking of which, I think we are ready for that. What armor will Fortius wear next? Okay, so it's not really a plan, but the thought and the idea that I had, with a lot of the concept art that I've been having ChatGPT create for me, and I'm not using it as much as of a promotional material, but I do have it generate a lot of images for me for inspiration. The steel Spell Knight armor, which is the steel version of the same armor that I'm wearing, it really closely matches a lot of the art that I've seen for Fortius and a lot of the concept art that I've had. And it looks really good. It's got it's like silver but with like red accents, which kind of is a nod back to his Imperial heritage, I think. I think we're going to be sticking with this stuff for a while. It's pretty good. I do want to, like I said, craft up the gauntlets and get rid of the restoration enchantment and put maybe a two-handed enchantment on there. But I'll be using this for a while, probably for the main quest line. Somewhere in the main quest line, I'll also pick up the Akaviri set of both the weapons and the armor. So more of like a samurai aesthetic, and I want to craft that up and enchant it as my like dragon hunting set. So the enchantments on that will be weaker because it'll be self-enchanted by a character who has no perks in the enchanting skill tree or even the alchemical skill tree in order to boost up you know, potions of enchanting. So the enchantments will be a little weaker than something that I just find, but I think it'll look good, and it kind of fits the theme. And then at some point in the Civil War quest, we'll be using various Imperial, like modded or otherwise, Imperial armor sets and weapons. And then for the companions, we'll be using the wolf armor. And I think that's it. But I for the end game stuff, I'm either gonna go with some plate stuff like the just the regular vanilla steel plate armor, or I like the steel spell mage stuff from the AE stuff, and I also really like the Farum Comfy Knight armor. We'll find it here. Yeah, there's so much modded stuff in here. We're almost there. Now, the Farum stuff is stuff that I used earlier in the series, but I really, really like it. It's a really cool full plate armor set that has a unique look to it, so you're not looking like, you know, every other heavily steel-clad warrior in the game, which is the only drawback of the steel plate stuff, which looks really good from the vanilla stuff, especially if you have some good retextures on it or whatever. But yeah, I have a lot of cool stuff that I can craft, including the resplendent this is a resplendent armor that has physics attached to it, which I installed specifically for this character and still haven't used it yet. So yeah, resplendent armor. This looks more paladin type stuff, but this does have a really cool these really cool flowing tassets attached to them that look really awesome. And there's also Grand Ursine armor that I want to use at some point too. I did also install the physics patch for that. And that version of the Grand Ursine armor with like the pauldrons and the shoulder armor and everything, it allows you to specify your trim color on a lot of those too. So I could have a red set of that as well, which I'm looking forward to. So a lot of options here. And as I try to find my endgame gear, I got there's more enchantments that I want to find, and I got to find all these shouts and everything too. The woodsman's friend. What the hell is that? It's a battle axe taking up half my encumbrance again already. The hell? Anybody know what the hell this thing is? No journals or anything? Yeah, you know what? We're dropping that back off. It's worth the return trip. Just to get this out of my inventory. It's unique. It obviously has a unique thing on it, right? A unique name on it, but there's no enchantment. It doesn't seem any inherently better than any other iron battle axe. Psionic Dante. Yeah, Ordinator has, well, if you're trying to like specific sets and things like that, like old school Diablo and stuff, Vanilla had a perk that didn't really work very well because it was very unintuitive. I think it was bugged to a certain extent as well. Ordinator got rid of that perk in order for just, you know, wearing all heavy armor, or all heavy armor except for the headpiece, so you didn't have to look at your stupid helmet all the time. But if you're looking for like specific sets and things like that, that would be hard to manage with mods, because it would have to be an explicit check for that explicit set. So it would be like a lot of there would have to be a patch for every single modded armor set. Maybe there's a way to do it with keywords and stuff, but still. Where are we going? We're going to Morthal. It's a unique named battle axe, but it's slow as hell, so pretty useless, much like the Rueful axe. The Rueful axe is actually pretty good with Zim's Immersive Artifacts, the overhaul that I'm using. And we'll get there eventually, too. Alright, Morthal is this way, and Ustengrav is in the swamps. Alright. I need to take a break to get a snack once we get into Morthal proper here. I'm going to go on break. I'll run an ad or two for the algorithm. For the almighty algorithm. Last 2 weeks I haven't run a single ad because they're just getting completely, like, overboard. If I let the ads run on their own, if I let YouTube decide when to run mid-roll ads, they run like every 15 minutes, even on the most conservative setting. It's been completely out of control. So I've just been setting it to manual mid-roll ads, and just been forgetting to completely run them. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a quick break here, and then we'll run an ad or two, and I need to get a snack or something. Refresh my beverages. All that fun stuff. All right, don't go anywhere. See you soon. All right, welcome back, folks. I was trying to see how these manual mid-roll ad triggers work, but I'm running YouTube Premium, so I never see ads anyway. So I have no idea how well that went. But we'll see. All right, how's everybody? Let me catch up on chat here. Let's see. A lot of the vanilla weapons look cool, but have useless enchantments or attack speed. Yeah, that's why I always have to run gameplay overhauls, like the Skyrim stuff. Rueful Axe is a poetic way of curing lycanthropy. It is. Let's see. Oh, avoiding COVID, huh? I'm a big homebody. I go to the gym and I go to the store, and every once in a while my wife will drag me out on some kind of social excursion. But I've gotten COVID like 2 or 3 times. And that's with the vaccinations and stuff too, but it's always been very mild for me. Like, just barely sick. Not everybody is as fortunate, I suppose, but good on you for avoiding it. That you know of, anyway. A lot of people are asymptomatic. Let's see. Rueful is another word for sorrow. Indeed it is. Sorrowful is another word for sad. So the Rueful Axe is definitely a sad weapon. It is, in more ways than one. Building a Nightblade, Destruction, Shock Magic, Light Armor, one hand, mainly sword, Sneak, Illusion, Alteration, Lockpicking Magic, and Speech, based on the agent of Penitude. Oh, Penitus Oculatus. Okay. Nightblade is my favorite class. Hell yeah, man. Nightblade's awesome. I've only used Destruction to set rune traps. That's awesome. You were playing Witch Hunters for a while too, Maldaroth, right? Witch Hunter is a very underused class. I think it's got some... Well, it's not the strongest class, right? It's got some limitations to it. No armor. The only means of offense is really that bow. There is some sneak involved in it, though, I think, right? Or does the Witch Hunter not use sneak? But he also uses things like Conjuration. It's a very interesting class. Very nuanced class. Not the strongest class, obviously, but with overhauls like Ordinator and stuff, you can make them strong. Getting some God Ray funkiness here. God Rays don't always play nice with the E&B. I'm running. Ooh, I think Fortius is on acid, maybe. Let's go ahead and hit up Movarth's lair. I'm not actually going to go in, but I want to get it on my map. Let's go ahead and hit these map markers. I think there's probably like a Thunderchild shrine out here somewhere too. The Witch Hunter is fighting evil with evil using Conjuration. Yes, indeed. Very cool concept. It's he kind of embodies the whole what is it, that Lovecraft quote of be careful staring into the abyss, that the abyss does not stare back into you, or something like that. I'm sure I misquoted that pretty terribly, but the concept is the same. What do I have equipped? Is it my sword and board here, or axe and board? Yes, indeed. Okay. So I'm abandoning my 3 rings concept here in favor of just leveling block as much as possible. Witch Hunter does use sneak, okay. It is very similar to Nightblade, basically an archer variant of the Nightblade. Right, with no armor. Oh my god! Oh my god! Alright. Those are the sneakiest trolls I've ever seen in my life. Or ever not seen in my life, as the case may be. It's just... For a second there, I thought it was a dog following me, and I was like, oh, there's my dog. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a dog. And then I turned the camera over and it was just 2 damn trolls. You kidding me? That's what I get for looking at chat while I'm trying to play. I blame you guys for that. You're gonna put me in an early game. Or in an early grave. Early game. No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. Pretty rock. Where the hell did this come from? I don't remember this at all. It's taking up 0.1 encumbrance unit. Oh, okay. I was like, what am I finding here? Pillar of the Wailing Banshee. That's a Thunderchild shout. We do have to go through. This character will use a shouts. Will make much more use of shouts than a lot of my previous characters will or have. Whenever I'm doing like a slow stroll through these swamps, these Morthal swamps here, I'm always thinking of the Neverending Story, where Atreus has lost his horse. That or the Princess Bride, where they encounter the RUSs. Just very moody. I like it. Rodents of unusual size. "57 Strudel has been promoted to 58 Strudel." Yeah, James, he does his best on his phone keyboard there. Share your misery. Every time I have to do anything on my phone, it's a struggle. Fast typing, not what I specialize on a tablet. He's just trying to keep you on your toes, Strudel. He's just testing you. This is not Oostengrav, yet it is something. Genstag. This I don't think is vanilla, right? I don't think so. Huh. That's changed by Dindalod. Huh. I don't know. Curious, though. Surprised we haven't run into any hostile creatures on our little trek through these swamps here. Misaligned textures, maybe. Yeah, the Dindalod texture shouldn't be showing up close, right? I wonder if the cell didn't load properly. Although I wouldn't think... Yeah, they look pretty good. If I do a quick save here and it freezes on me, then... No, we're good. Interesting. Maybe this is vanilla. I don't remember this at all. Is there anything up top here? This is a vanilla location. Okay. just not one that you ever have much reason to visit, I guess, right? I'm surprised none of the modders whose mods I have installed have taken advantage of this spot yet. Okay. Interesting. Okay, now we got Magicka regen increasing, which is a good... Oh, yep, we got spiders. Spooters! Took a whack there, but barely felt it. Yes, this is definitely... If I recall, it's for one of the college specialized quests. Interesting. Like one of the ritual quests. I know the destruction one sends you all over the place. Maybe it's the destruction mastery quest line. But there's usually some kind of like shrine or mark or something. Oh, what is this place? Got a map marker up here for something, and I don't know what. Oh, Deveria. Okay, glad I wasn't following that too closely. That would be something if I'm trying to walk to Ustengrav and then just suddenly show up at Riften. Like, what? Took a very wrong turn there. There's a ghost who appears between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Interesting. Anticlimactic at best, but still something. It's like a little piece of like world building that they didn't have to do and probably shouldn't have, but did anyway. A BGS special. Spiders are almost as bad as rabbits, almost. They're more aggressive than rabbits. A little more venomous than rabbits, too. Kind of makes you wonder why some people hate rabbits more than spiders. Probably because they are evil. I haven't seen Magus pop in, so... I feel like I can talk crap about him if I want. I'll take aggressive and venomous over cute and evil any day. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's right. Feed my block skill. You are not helping with my block skill. Why did they die? Oh, that's because he was a necromancer. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. I was like, I don't think I have any like thorns or bleed effects on my shield or anything. Another great addition that Inai added to his version 4 Summer Mist drop that he had a month or two ago. Bleed damage and thorns are now part of the suite of enchantments. Good for character building. Gives you just a little bit something extra to play with there. Ooh. Glacial Crystal Heavy Gauntlets. That is from the good old Immersive Armors kit, and then we also have Zabio's retexture on those, which is less of a retexture and more of just a remodel for some of these. I bet this is looking sexy with that. Either way, they're valuable. I'm taking them. I find block useless. Ooh, no, block is one of my favorite skills in the game. One of my favorite and, in my opinion, one of the most powerful skills in the game. Because of that block bash, you can stagger lock enemies. Even outside of the damage reduction properties.
These thralls
Block is great. I love block.
Arconians in a blizzard.
Plus that shield sprint perk is one of the most fun in the game. And then you put Spellbreaker on there and your block also becomes a ward. How about that? Oh my god, necromancers. Yeah, Magus isn't here, so I can talk crap about necromancers too. Actually, I've been playing a necromancer in Diablo 4's Season 5. Been really digging in and seeing what makes that class tick. And it's given me ideas for a necromancer build on my own. I've actually been kicking the idea around of a Discord server. I've been very resistant to it in the past. Because I hate babysitting. And on the internet, almost invariably, any kind of online community is just, it's gonna degrade into something that needs to be babysat, right? Unless you're very, very selective about the people you allow into it. So I don't know, from that perspective, it might be like a membership bonus that if I want to monetize this channel further, I can put that Discord server behind a paywall, which would help limit my babysitting duties. But it would also give me a place to list my build ideas and flesh them out as I'm working on other builds, and a place to discuss those builds. I don't know. I also don't like shutting off that aspect of the community and putting anything behind a paywall, but it really does just kind of make things easier to manage. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's just an idea at this point. It's a fart in the wind. Ooh, we got like some kind of a mage. Yes, Ionic, this is all this is all block. Now if you're a mage or an archer, you're never gonna use block, right? Ooh, it's getting a little rough there. There we go. Now we're getting some block levels. So the most efficient, the fastest way to level up your block is not block bashing. It's blocking damaging attacks. Of course, training. You're going to be able to train a lot faster than anything else. Get rid of some of the fodder here. Concentrate on one guy. Yeah, so blocking damage, especially high levels of damage, is going to level your block faster. So if you're looking to level up your block skill as fast as possible outside of training, I mean, yeah, you can do that by block bashing. It gives you something active to do. But the more damage you can block with your shield, the faster you're gonna level up blocking. So things like high level Draugr Deathlords and stuff, like a lot of these are gonna be taken like these would like 1 or 2 hit me if I'm not actively blocking, and they're still taking a big chunk of damage. Whoop. So a really good way to level up your block is to find a giant, like a lone giant, and start blocking his attacks. Make sure you have some good healing potions ready to go, or a good healing spell if you're like more of a paladin type. But yeah, that's blocking giant attacks are probably the best way to level, or the fastest way to level block anyway. Block is notoriously slow to level, and I got 2 levels of block. I think I got 2 levels of block, maybe 3. Just in that one little skirmish there. Yeah, 3 levels of block. Very nice, very nice. We might get to 90 sooner than later. Excellent. All right, we'll loot this area on our way back out. Let me catch up on chat here. Oh, let's see here. I love character building more than actually playing. For me, it's intertwined. My character build has a lot of gameplay stuff in it, and as Strudel mentions, she's 95% story as opposed to the stats and stuff. I like to do a good chunk of story in there too, which the first hour or so of the stream was all story, character backstory, character motivations, and things like that. Something that I've been neglecting a little bit. Just because that takes a little more of my thought cycles than just getting on and playing and leveling skills, you know? But yeah, I've gotten the gameplay in Skyrim with the Nyrim overhauls to be something that I actually really do enjoy playing. Part of that is actually the block, or the dodge roll. This adds a lot of responsiveness to combat that wasn't there before. That also adds in attack cancellation for blocks. That also makes the game feel more responsive. So if you're about to get hit by something big, but you're in the middle of a weapon swing, you can always, you know, block cancel or even dodge cancel your way out of it. It does make the game easier. It gives you more defensive options than are available in the vanilla game, but it does make it feel more alive when you play it. Okay, may not be getting back to this area, so let's do that. There's a little thing called block runner. Yeah, that's the bowling ball is what I call it. Well, block runner is it allows you to move around. You're not as stationary while you're blocking. Without the block runner skill, you're going to be pretty much set in place. You can move, but it's very, very slow. And that, I don't even think I'm running that, actually. Timed block. Yeah, it's up here. Block runner. Can move at full speed while blocking. At this point, this is going to be like a 3 perk. Well, a 2 perk investment. It wasn't worth 2 perks for me. Just because of the ring system that I was talking about earlier, where that as the enemy approaches you, you go from archery to 2-handed to 1-handed, and you don't really need to move as much. I also don't tend to just keep my shield up during a fight. I like the timed block mechanic a little better. It turns it into more of a parry. So I'm not blocking all the time, and if I am, I can always just quickly dodge roll out of it. And I'm actually not moving too poorly here with the shield up. The one that I like, this is one of the best perks in the game. This is a vanilla perk that I think was reworked a little bit for Ordinator. It was Unstoppable Force. I don't remember what it was called in vanilla. It's like Shield Charge or something like that. This is one of my favorite perks in the game, and it's in the block tree. You just get to hold your shield up and then sprint toward an enemy, and then you'll knock them down. You can do that for groups of enemies too. It's an awesome perk. It's a lot of fun. Not necessarily. A block is not completely meaningless. Block, it will, yeah, some perks will allow you to completely remove the damage if you block properly, or if you have stamina left. But it does, I think, add some more damage reduction on top of armor rating. I don't think they're both in the same bucket. When you hold up a shield, it doesn't just increase your armor rating. There's another layer of damage reduction that you get on top of that. So it's not useless. But what's most useful about blocking is this. This is the fastest attack you have access to in the game, even faster than a dagger attack. And this, with Ordinator anyway, with your perk overhaul Ordinator, this can be a legitimate offensive weapon because it will scale damage based off of your current stamina levels. But this is the fastest move in the game, and it also staggers. It staggers very, very reliably. So this is like a boxing jab, right? The jab itself doesn't do much damage, but it'll open up a more powerful attack. You can keep your enemies stagger locked with this, regardless of the damage reduction traits of the shield or of the block itself. Blocking is great. One of my favorite skills. Not to mention the block sprint that I was talking about earlier, which I haven't gotten. I'm trying to get to level 90 for that one, but that's it's just fun. It's fun as hell. Yeah, and also the utility of Spellbreaker having a ward on it is yet another reason for a warrior. Especially with the block sprint, you can close the distance, be immune to whatever spells they're pelting you with. Sprint up to them, knock them down, and then hack them to bits with your weapon. So that is my argument for block. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Obviously, this game has been out for 13 years now, and everybody has their own preferred playstyles and stuff. And a lot of people just prefer to go in and mash their buttons, concentrate on their stats, and not so much on the gameplay. And just do the battle of attrition thing where you're getting in there, you're absorbing attacks instead of actually actively defending them and just mashing buttons to cause damage. That's viable. That's a way to play. You can definitely build your character around that playstyle, right? But if you choose to play that way, I kind of feel like you give up your right to complain that the the gameplay in this game sucks, right? You're just choosing not to play in a better way or in a more fun way. And obviously mods do a lot of the heavy lifting to enforce you making those gameplay choices and changes. But you can definitely adjust your playstyle in the vanilla game to have melee combat be more engaging and more active. It's never going to be as engaging or active or balanced or smooth as like Elden Ring or a Souls-like game or like an Arkham series game or even God of War, where the whole game is like balanced or like built around this combat loop, right? This is an RPG first and foremost, and the gameplay is kind of secondary. BGS has been transitioning into more of a gameplay primary studio to, the chagrin of many of its players, but that does leave open the possibility for, playing the game the way that you want, and so it puts the responsibility in your hands to define the playstyle that you want and the one that works for you, but also the one that is most engaging and fun. I have a lot of fun playing melee builds in vanilla Skyrim. You got to find your own fun with a lot of... That's kind of a running theme in this game, is finding your own fun. Mods enable that a little bit better. Just the open nature of the exploration, and you can't use this while in combat. What or who am I in combat with? Really? Must be something going on downstairs. But yeah, this is the ultimate, like, sort of build your own sandbox kind of game, right? You get to define your own play style. So if the game isn't fun to play, it's on you. You can define your own stories like Strudel does. This is one of the very few games in the world that has open-ended character creation, character building on both the entry end of it and the exit. So like the beginning of the game and the end of the game are completely open. You can have your own story, your own play style, your own skills, choose to do your own things in it. BGS has the market cornered on this kind of game. You get to you get to define the backstory and the forestory of your character completely, right? Bethesda sometimes takes a lot of heat for people who don't want to create their own story, don't want to roleplay. They want to be, fed this linear story. And that's cool. It's like you want to play a game like you watch a movie, then God of War is great. A lot of other games like The Last of Us, they tell a great story, fantastic. I'm not trying to disparage those types of games or those types of players at all. But for players who want to tell their own story, who want to live in the shoes of their own character and determine what happens next and be the master of your own fate, as far as the story, the type of game that you want to play, the type of character that you want to live through, Skyrim is second to none. BGS is pretty much the only studio that allows that. At least at a more accessible level. Elden Ring has this open-ended stuff, but its story and world building are so obfuscated, like beyond the point of accessibility, that it's really hard to tell your own story and hit your own story beats in that game because it's so gameplay oriented in the world building, and that is so ridiculously obfuscated that it's hard to tell a story in those games. And then a lot of people don't want to hear this either, but Starfield does the open-ended thing very, very well. You get to start off with whatever backstory you want. You get to end up... the game ends in even a more open-ended fashion than Skyrim does because of the New Game Plus mechanic that it has in it. Once the story ends, you can completely start your story over. You can play the same character in a completely new timeline, which exponentially kind of gives you more options in terms of storytelling and just different legs of your journey, telling different stories with your character, because you get to do the same quests and stuff, but pick different options. Your character has more room for, dynamic personality, dynamic choices and stuff with that game. The game has a lot of well-earned criticism, and I'm not here to diminish any of that. But I also like to point out what it does well, and open-ended storytelling is one of those things. It leaves a lot for the player to define themselves, which a lot of people say is a weakness of writing, is a weakness of storytelling. But for people who like to roleplay and tell their own stories, it's fantastic. It's great. It's a great sandbox for doing that. They could have gone a little deeper in the world building, fleshed some things, some of the history out. That is both a side effect of it being the first new IP BGS has done in a long time. The Elder Scrolls has, decades worth of world building that they can look back on and hook into. Fallout is the same. They took that over from, what was it, like Black Isle or something like that? There was already a tremendous amount of storytelling, world building and storytelling in the Fallout universe when they bought that one. Oh my god. My ward stayed active. Oh, jeez, alright. There we go. And with Starfield, it uses actual real-life history as its world building and backstory, right? NASA is a thing. The whole history of Earth in our current world, in our current timeline, is the backstory of Starfield. Maybe it's lazy, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it was a creative decision. I don't know. Only ML and the writers of Starfield know about that. But yeah, there was a noted lack of history and world building in that game compared to their other games. But the point remains, still completely open-ended for you to tell your own story, and that is highly valued by a lot of the BGS faithful. Not as good as a standalone game that feeds you a story, but as a tool for telling stories and role-playing a character concept, it is second only to Skyrim, in my opinion. And BGS is the only studio that really does this well. Even games that are like Elder Scrolls and kind of try to follow the BGS formula, they're a little tighter on the narrative. The Witcher series is a huge open world with an enormous amount of story or world building. Also, which did not all come from CDPR, by the way. That was an established world already through the books. So they had a lot to hook into, a lot to draw on. But The Witcher tells Geralt's story. These are established characters, and it is a straightforward narrative. You can choose what order to do things in, but the story you're playing is Geralt's story, and it's the story that they're telling you. Same with Cyberpunk. BGS is really the only one that allows you to tell your own story. And I didn't mention Fallout with Starfield and Skyrim because Fallout is the most straightforward narrative-based series in BGS's fleet of IP. The Fallout games, you always start in that vault. You're always, a guy who either, is ex-military, and because of that, he was able to secure his position in the vault in Fallout 4, or you're the kid who grew up in the vault. You had to play through that backstory. You were born in the vault. Fallout 3 actually begins with you being born. That's when the story starts, and it tells you your entire backstory verbatim. And those games also have a pretty clear ending point. Fallout 3 did have an ending credits scene where it's like, okay, your game is over. You can reload a save and keep playing from there. At least until the expansions hit and they removed that. Fallout 4 allows you to keep playing, but there is pretty much one of three ways that story can end, and one of three states that world can be in at the end. So yeah, in terms of open-ended on both sides, in terms of character backstory and the character story ending, Starfield and Skyrim are the only ones I know of that do it. Okay, let me see this here. Enjoy using wards, but modded wards. Yes, vanilla wards are kind of dog poo. They're not very good. But Odin does a great job of overhauling the vanilla spell wards, or ward spells. And then Zim's Immersive Artifacts, the ward on Dawnbreaker is fantastic as well. My current setup is basically 20 years in the future. I have to ignore some of the more obvious NPC lines, but it works. Yes, absolutely. Especially using the CK to age more central. Yeah, that's awesome. It's a complete, sandbox, like what I said. You define your own, you choose your own adventure, except you're not defined by page numbers like those old school books. I wish I was interested in Starfield for exactly that reason. Yep. Yeah, that quick pulling up your ward when a projectile is coming, it works fine with Odin because and Zim's Immersive Artifacts for Peryite, for the Spellbreaker. But yeah, your ward has the casting time on that is too high in the vanilla game to do that. It takes too long for that ward to come up. So yeah, you need a modded ward in this game to use them properly. Boo, I strongly dislike Starfield because the herd dislikes Starfield. How dare you compliment that game? I still haven't played it yet. Totally sarcastic. Yeah, I get it. There was a big hate train. And like I said, a lot of the criticism was well earned. A lot of the stuff I do agree with, if not just understand, Some of the stuff I don't understand. As far as the criticisms go. And overall, I think it's just a really good game. It stands on its own as a game that's worth playing and putting hours into. And a lot of people would argue that it's like the worst fucking thing since Hitler. Yeah, that's part of it, James, right? Starfield's not for you due to it being a big space game that I find it quite repetitive. Yeah, that's part of it, especially the PoEs, the Pillars of Eternity, Path of Exile. Points of interest, POI. Yeah, they repeat too much. But, you know, as the Starfield Reddit kind of like, it's becoming more readable now. The hate train is starting to punch itself out a little bit on that, and now people are actually sharing information about the game. What a novel concept, right? There are people with thousands of hours in that game that are finding new PoEs at higher level, or POIs at higher level, right? So there isn't a huge... the lack of variance isn't as bad as you would think just by playing the game to level 50 or whatever and doing the main storyline and maybe doing 1 or 2 new game pluses. Because it seems like a lot of those POIs, a lot of those really interesting new big dungeon dive POIs are locked behind super high levels that you only get to by doing like new game plus 10 or whatever and getting to like level 200. And that's the main complaint I have about Starfield, right? Is that they hide all the coolest stuff around these ridiculous barriers to entry. So the vast majority, like 95% of the people who are playing Starfield are not seeing the coolest stuff in the game through like those anomalous New Game Plus universes. Some of these really cool points of interest that only show up at very high level. And then just the really cool weapons that you get that are randomly dropped. Those are very rare at lower levels, but they become much more common at higher levels. And in higher level encounter zones. So a lot of the coolest weapons weren't being seen by like 99% of the players either. I seem to remember there being a skeleton up here. Oh, yeah. There he is. Get a little bit more block training out of this, but just not doing enough damage. So, yeah, that's my mandatory Starfield rant for the stream, I guess. I always gotta... Now, some folks, they don't like Starfield for, you know, like on a moral basis of like Creation Club and stuff like that, and you can't really argue with that, right? A lot of the pricing is completely out of control for a lot of the official DLC that they put out, and non-officials, like other modders being way too proud of their work and just price gouging the crap out of some of their stuff. There's a lot of predatory stuff going on in that Creation Club thing. So yeah, I can't argue against that so much, except that there is some really good, novel, unique stuff out there that is worth the money. It's mixed in with a bunch of toxic, poisonous, greedy stuff as well. So it makes it really hard to pick it out, you know, separate the wheat from the chaff. Okay, I need whirlwind sprint. Here we go. Indiana Jones, that one. Speaking of Bethesda and Indiana Jones, I think that Indiana Jones game is supposed to come out this year, right? And I don't know. It's hard for me to be excited about that game because I still don't know what the game is. It's just showing a lot of like cinematic cutscenes and the graphics look good. Troy Baker is killing it doing his Harrison Ford voice. I thought it was Harrison Ford, and then it came out that it was Troy Baker doing the voice for that afterwards. So he knocked that out of the park for sure. And it looks like it has all the indie DNA in there, but we still have no idea what it's like to play the game, right? I don't want to watch a movie in a video game format, right? There's a market for that. There are people who enjoy that kind of experience. I mean, the Until Dawn and Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain and stuff is basically kind of like that, right? But I need some, you know, engaging gameplay to go along with all that, and I'm not sure I've seen any of that. Yikes. from what we've seen of that game so far. So I don't know. I'll wait for reviews to come out on that one. Ah! My God, that poison hits hard, huh? And I am out of healing potions. Oh, I was gonna make a concerted effort to try to use my potions in this one, and I wasn't doing it. God damn it. All right, we'll switch over to plentiful healing on this one. Ooh, that was so close. I was down to a pixel on that, guys, and it's been a while since I saved. It has been a while. Let me catch up on chat here. Let's see. I'm going to be honest, never played any of the Fallout games. Well, that's they're in terms of gameplay, they use the same engine. They're made by the same people, but there are people who are going to be drawn to the high fantasy setting of Elder Scrolls, but be completely turned off by the apocalyptic setting, like, you know, Strudel. It's not for everybody, right? It's a very, if you like dark humor, Fallout's great. It's a very kind of tongue-in-cheek game, but it does explore some very dark concepts that could someday be reality. So if that triggers you, you probably don't want to play Fallout. But yeah, I enjoy them, but they're very, very different from Elder Scrolls. They kind of play the same way, but they tell very different stories. They have very different themes and tones. Storytelling is quite different. Overall, it's a much different experience. Though being a bounty hunter or Mandalorian seems easier to roleplay in Starfield, I will find a way to become a Sith Lord. There you go. Well, the Starborn powers, you level those up through your New Game Plus runs. It's just, you know, finding those things are a huge grind. That's my second most egregious complaint about Starfield, is that there's those Starborn ability grinds. Those temples are terrible. Let's not forget vanilla wards are break easily. Yeah, so Odin, the overhaul, the magic overhaul, they do add some more durability to the wards, but they also add more levels. So I think in vanilla you have like a lesser ward and a greater ward, and that's about it. In Odin you have a lesser ward, a ward, a greater ward, and then I think you might have a fourth level of a ward too. And the greater ward is like, it's damn near indestructible, and I think it might also scale with your restoration skill as well, which is something that should have been in the vanilla game, honestly. But yeah, if you're on PC, I highly recommend, or even Xbox, I highly recommend the Odin magic overhaul. It rebalances things in ways that it should have been balanced in the beginning. Also makes things like Conjure Familiar useful. Conjure Familiar is useful in early game with Odin, which is great. Feeling better. Amazing how rejuvenating a hot shower can be. Man, you said something there. Just to get all the... It's not just like the stink and the sweat and everything off your body, but it's like there's also something psychological about rinsing yourself off that just it's invigorating. And it just fixes a lot of things about the way you feel. I was really disappointed with the shouts in the game at first. I thought the dungeons were going to be balanced around using shouts, only to find out you don't need them at all. Yeah, you don't really need them at all, but some of them are pretty cool. The ice form shout is really cool. Become Ethereal is one of the most useful shouts in the game. Fus Roda is really fun to play with. That's the one they kind of marketed the whole game around. And with 3 full shouts, 3 full words in that shout, it's like sneezing into a bowl of popcorn and just watching the Havoc physics just go crazy. With that is always a lot of fun. So there are some hits and misses there for sure. The The guy who does the Odin stuff, Inai Scion, he has a Thunderborn shout overhaul that expands all those shouts greatly and makes them a lot stronger. And into the fire. I thought you rolled the other way, my bad. Yeah, that would have been something, right? Roll right into one of the fire traps. That would have been one for the ages. Speaking of, I'm gonna save. Hot showers are very good indeed, yes. I hate this space. Fire jets are such a... Yeah, you have to kind of skirt around the edges there. That's me. I prefer high fantasy, but that being said, I do appreciate Fallout. I've never gotten into it. Just stop. You know what I mean. I've got the wrench. Don't make me ban you. There you go. I'm intending to have a hot shower after the stream is done. Listen here, Missy. Like a hot H-A-W-T shower? Oh, yeah. Gungnir. I think is added by the Jesus weapons. Pretty cool weapon. For a Nordy Nord Viking guy. I need to speak to you urgently. Rent the attic room at the Sleeping Giant Inn in Riverwood, and I'll meet you. A friend. Alright, whoever this friend is was able to single-handedly take care of a Draugr White. What do I have in here that I can get rid of? I need the money for block training. It's getting expensive, you know? I also did go to Solstheim and I got the Scholar's Insight from the Black Book. So once I get to level 90, I can just read 5 skill books and top that off at 100. It's the Brawler's Gauntlets. Gives me 4 pounds, that's enough. Yeah, so whoever this friend is was able to take out a Draugr and a Draugr White single-handedly. Not to mention making it through all these other Draugr and other people without being seen, so quite formidable. Quite powerful. I'm gonna take this note, though. This is where the Horn of Jorgen Windcaller should be. Not only did they make it through this dungeon assumingly unscathed, but is also aware of the fact that we might be Dragonborn, that we might be coming here for this horn, which also adds to the formidability of whoever this friend is. A lot of people hate on Delphine. I actually respect Delphine. She's rough around the edges for sure, but just the way she's able to survive in her own terrible little world, and just the impressiveness of the things and the feats that she's able to accomplish is, you gotta respect that, right? A lot of people just automatically hate characters that are disrespectful toward them in any way. But I actually quite like Delphine. Don't tell nobody. In the mythos, Gungnir was Odin's Spear of Fate. Interesting, interesting. Just wanted to keep everyone on their toes. Prove my continued existence. I love a cold shower too, but I'm in one of the hottest parts of the world, so it's really hard to get cold water out of the pipes. I just run the cold water and it comes out warm for my shower. It sucks. But it's a nice way to cool off after like a gym session or something like that. If you're really sweaty, taking a hot shower is not gonna help matters, right? It'll clean you up momentarily, but then you're gonna get all sweaty again. Cold showers will stop the sweat. It'll refresh you too. See, Karn knows when to fill in the missing letters and when not to. Delphine is cheating. I call hacks. Yeah, she probably did a TCAI console command, toggle combat AI. Just snuck her way through. That's fair, to be honest. Look away, Strudel. But it's good for me to have someone around like Strudel to keep me grounded. Indeed. Strudel's keeping you grounded? That is saying something, Joe. I think I know Strudel better than that. And she figured out how to get in here without whirlwind shout. Indeed, she did. Just hate that she gets in the way when you're trying to go down the stairs. Yes, that is the worst part about Delphine, and it's not her fault. That is BGS's fault. Oh, I gotta try to make room for this. That is one expensive piece. I like unique weapons though, so I'm keeping that. There we go. Put the staff back down in there. Checking the urns for gems. Bone meal is also useful for the enchanting supplies from campfire. Canis root, thank you very much. Charis eggs. Invisibility. Won't use it, but I can sell it. Wow, James says. Taking Strudel's line there. Who Daedric Mel, nice AE set. Yes, it is. Very cool looking, and this is light armor. So if you like the Daedric aesthetic, but you're not a heavy armor character, this will get you that sneak archery look. Yeah, that's another AE thing. Oh my god, I'm already encumbered again. What the hell is going on here? Guess I'll drop off these pretty gauntlets. Okay, I see a healing potion there, but the minor one I'm not going to bother with. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Ooh, we are at the end of our window here, huh? All right, let's get out of this this dungeon so that I'm in a decent spot when I load the game up the next time, and then I'll say my goodbyes. Man, it was fun hanging out with you guys today. This was a good stream, I think. Probably because Magus wasn't here. No, I'm kidding. Always miss Magus. Been trying to sell his car. Let's see, do I have room for that? I sure do. Got some enchantment fodder, got some good stuff to sell. Got all kinds of high-priced potions that I can sell off. All right, good run today. Almost died, man. We came within that 1 pixel of that spider getting us with that poison. I gotta remember to use my potions more. That's the one thing. When I play this guy off stream, I am going to be trying to drill it into my muscle memory to go into that quick menu and buff myself up with potions every single time. That'll get rid of a lot of this encumbrance, I'm sure. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, this was a lot of fun. This was a great stream. Making a lot of progress with this character. He's getting pretty close to ready for action. We just need to flesh some things out with the shouts, end game armor, things like that. That'll be another few weeks for sure. But I think I'm in a state at least where I can start writing out the build guide for him. Yeah, I got some gameplay stuff worked out, a little bit of the end game gear figured out, but that's still kind of one of the main open-ended things. Shouts definitely need to unlock, and then different Allmaker Stone powers that I need for Voice of Rage and Ruin for the two-handed stuff, and then I still need to level up my shield, my block, in order to get that shield sprint. Yeah, good stuff. A lot of progress today. Had a lot of fun chatting with you guys, hanging out, playing some of my favorite game with some of my favorite people. Got some new faces subscribed. Excellent, excellent. Let me catch up on chat here real quick. You guys have been on broil for months. Yeah, and maybe around October we'll cool down a little bit. Water should not be body temperature straight out of the tap. Yeah, that's how it be out here. My playthrough of Skyrim was a restoration mage healer. It's fun going through the dungeon with a team of followers. You decked out yourself. Yeah, I think the next character, after I get done with my pure warrior, pure mage, and then the pure thief, I'm going to spin him up at any point. After that, I'm going to go for the triumvirate cleric. That's like the one triumvirate archetype that I haven't dug into yet. So looking forward to that. And then I want to start doing some Forgotten Magic redone builds and stuff too. Lots of stuff on the docket. It would be nice to put into a dedicated Discord, I think. These are times when the fast travel portals of Diablo and PoE would come in handy. Yes, indeed. You have to go outside in order to fast travel anywhere in this game. Although I think there's a mod that might let you, and that's another improvement they made in Starfield too, is you can fast travel from pretty much anywhere, as long as it's not like an instant story thing, where there's scripted events that happen. Let's see. The only thing he'll loot are Draugr that attack him. Ah, indeed. Oh, that's one thing that I imposed on myself with this current character I have going, not Einarath. Does not loot cairns or tomes. It's like, actually a lot harder than, well, yeah, when you have that muscle memory for playing this game for 13 years and knowing that those urns are a great source of gems and potions, it's hard not to just loot them, especially if you start playing like a non-alchemist, or if you played an alchemist character and you're just looting, you're just harvesting all of the alchemy ingredients all the time. You do that once, every single other character is going to be preoccupied with picking every alchemy ingredient he sees, right? It's the worst. Okay. Not foraging is near impossible for me, so yep, absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. Been the coolest summer you've had in a while? That's good, that's good. Oh, face reveal. Yeah, no, actually, he looks very close to the thumbnails. I think I've done a pretty good job of describing Fortius to ChatGPT, and now when I tell ChatGPT to generate an image of Fortius doing, like, this is Fortius on the 7,000 steps, being introspective with like the furry cloak and everything. This is like very, very close. And yeah, there is some skill to prompt engineering for AI. It does take some practice, but that's like pages and pages of history, of backstory, descriptions of what the guy looks like, what he's been through, the gear that he wears, the lessons that he's been on. It remembers all that, and it'll roll it all into an image for you. It's pretty impressive stuff. Yeah, right? Image creation does have a lot of problems. It still really mangles fingers. When you try to describe like a sword or axe that he's carrying, it's a lot of times they're like at weird angles. They're like not proportionate to the size of the body at all. So it does definitely have its limitations, but if you're trying to create concept art of a character, it's a really great tool. I think Baofish actually had a stream not too long ago where he was going over how you can use AI to help aid character concept creation. I don't do exactly what he does, but I ask, I tell ChatGPT everything that comes out of my brain about it, and then I ask ChatGPT to tell me stories about Fortius. And let's see if I can show you the last one that it came up with. I had it generate a story for me about Fortius being retrospective on his hike up the 7,000 steps, and this is the prompt that I gave it. It's very conversational, and then it gave me this like whole, it's a very well written story about what he's thinking about his father and his mom and Gore as he's trudging up the 7,000 steps, and just asked it to generate an image of the scene for me, and it was almost perfect. It's good stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot of gray areas, there's a lot of black, and there's a lot of white about generative AI and large language models and the ramifications that it's going to have on the world. But you know, as of right now, it's just a very important productivity tool that, and it's free. So if you're not using it, you're missing out. And for better or worse, it's here to stay. So it's probably behooves everybody to at least learn how to use it, right? Get comfortable with it. Yeah, and then if you want something like really good that, you know, an artist spends time on, then I would have no problem. If my channel made more money and I had more time, and I wasn't using this just for concept and inspiration, I would be more than happy to pay an artist to do like a Fortius thing. But artists get busy with their contracts, and it's very expensive, and it's, you know, to pay them for the time that and effort that it takes to do something really good. And I feel like paying an artist to do something like that is always going to be on another level from anything that is going to be created from these AI tools. So yeah, try not to let it replace it for you, but if it was something that were otherwise unavailable to you, and you need something quick and dirty, it's a good way to do it. Smart Harvest mod, there you go. Yeah, a lot of people love that one. Okay, I think that's it for me, guys. Fortius says goodbye. He thanks you for joining him, as do I. It was a lot of fun. If you are happening upon this content and you like it, there's a lot more like it. Check out the description below. There's a lot of links. Magus80 streams pretty regularly. He's been doing a Requiem run with a necromancer that's been very interesting, kind of making me want to play Requiem at some point. 57 Strudel has been writing this Skyrim fanfic. Don't let the word fanfic fool you. This is professional quality stuff. She's doing a lot of her own world building, a lot of her own character exploration. It's not just a retelling of things that happen in Skyrim. It's a lot of her own original stuff. It's immensely well written. It's great. I highly recommend it. I think you've been writing this for like 57 years. I think 57 counts for how many years you've been writing the story, Strudel. 2017. Okay, not quite 57. Nice. And then the Panic Monk has a great playthrough that he's been putting on YouTube right now. This dude is really, really good at roleplay. He's been playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons for a lot of his life, doing all the good nerd stuff, and he's really good at it. So you can, just watching his roleplay centric series gives you ideas and teaches you how to roleplay and get more out of your playthrough in Skyrim. Get really into the head of your character, exploring aspects of motivation, backstory, just twists and turns that you may or may not have thought of incorporating into your own story. All the good stuff like that. Maldaroth, he used to... Are you still streaming, Maldaroth? And I know you were kind of rethinking that whole thing, but he does have a Twitch channel. He was playing some Diablo, some Skyrim. Good stuff. Who else? I feel like I'm missing... Mr. B was here earlier. He streams pretty regularly. A lot of different stuff. Macadamia has been on hiatus. Should return soon. Okay, good to hear. Do like a Macadamia stream. Okay, and all those links should be in the description below. So thanks everybody. And then Haster was doing a good job posting links as these people dropped in. So thank you to Haster for that as well. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm really going now. See you guys around. Take care. Until next time. Bye.